Hello, everyone. Uh, this is Kev. This is Black Men Being Brutally Honest. And before we get started, just want to acknowledge that it's a little late for this broadcast, and I know this gets old, but I just want to go ahead and, since I was late, read the comments that came in before I was late for this broadcast. So, one moment. Okay, we are up and roll. We are up and rolling. Okay, so we got War Child Games that was here much earlier. Hashtag long live the habitual line steppers. We got hurry up and buy. Hashtag BMBBH. Uh, you know, uh, and Toya the tutor with the eyeballs. So, so with that out the way, and for my tardiness, you will still get the intro. So let's begin. Yo, we are here. Welcome to Black Men Being Brutally Honest once again. Just want to explain to you what I mean by that title. Uh, Thank you, Black people. RIP, good black man. Yeah, the question is always posed, what's a good black man? And I know that is extremely subjective. I know some people think a good black man is a man that stands on his morals and completely honest, maybe with a couple of imperfections that aren't too great, or you would think that they would want a stand-up guy. But it's throughout many iterations of the archetypal black man. The ones that are popular are like of the ones that are popular, the archetype I just described is not at the top of the list. It's probably not even a little bit down. It probably isn't even. I don't know. Probably one of the next to the last archetypes that people do choose. Because people will choose the way to, the easier routes. The routes that are of little to no accountability for your actions. Some of us will. A lot of us don't. Those people have a tendency to keep to themselves. They'll focus on self improvement, but it'll be a little bit of apathy from them because maybe they've been exposed to negative bullshit so much they don't want to be a part of it anymore. But what if the negative bull, what if the negative bull is something they had to go through with if they grow up, and what if it's in their family? What if it's in their friends when they go home? What if it's in their environment? So it never really fixes itself. You can remove yourself from it, which will solve uh, a lot of problems for you. But how would it be for everything in the long run? What if you have kids? What if you want to take them back to those settings to see people that, family members? And of course, you do what's best for the child. But wouldn't that be a shame to have to forget where you came from because there were so many shameful things that were a part of it? Maybe it's other people doing it or whatever. But why do y'all think that a lot of black people think that moving to white neighborhoods and sending their kids to uh, more expensive schools is a solution? To remove them from their people and their identity. Because in those areas, there's an apathy to do something about it. You know, and unfortunately for a lot of us, our elder relatives are adversely impacted by it. Sometimes we are impacted by it too. Ask people who go back after they've done well and try to go to their old hoods. The negative response they get. This is especially prevalent for the black man. A negative image for, at least staying alive. At least dodging trouble, dodging the bullshit, dodging everything that it would take to fuck his life up. And we, as a large group, a large majority, will penalize that black man for it. I mean, I say us, maybe not the people per se who are watching this broadcast. Say like Absalom Payanki TV or Raven Knight or Shantastic Trill TV. What's going on, Shan? How you doing? Um, yeah, a large majority of us penalize the black man for doing something with ourselves. I give you the one of the most potent examples, the educated lame narrative. You know, I'm not gonna bring the other gender into it just yet because it does factor in. Because of course, for a lot of those Negroes, niggas, whatever N word you want to use, shit. For a lot of them, uh, this is what they push. The educated lame. Why would you call anyone educated lame? Like, I get it, I get it, I get it. The educated lame is defined. If I were to give it any kind of common sense definition, as a grown man who believes that he is entitled to pussy and respect. And because, y'all put pussy at the top of the list anyway for most of things, for most all things. I mean, pussy's good. I get it. But I mean, just that kind of thing. Just pussy. Just I don't know. I guess dressing a certain way, like a shirt, tie, and dress shoes, for some reason, is feminine to you guys in 2021, which is stupid. Yeah, y'all have to excuse me. I'm on the. Let me stretch for a second. Ah, yeah, it's been a long day, so I'm still get y'all a couple hours. But anyway, I mean, shit. You reject images that are, I wouldn't even say more beneficial because, let me tell y'all something. Professional image comes from, it's a more calm image. It's a more crisper looking image, but it was an image handed to us by another culture. What is professional image in where we came from? So there's different professional images, but we are American. So I mean, and I know a lot of us are into the whole America removed us from our culture, and it's whatever you choose to do. But if you really want to make it in this country, and you don't want to adapt to the shirt and tie culture, what you're probably going to have to do is go into business for yourself. You cannot tell other groups what to do. But for now, we're going to go with the American professional image. We, as a culture, seem to think that there is something wrong with a black man carrying that image. And the only reason why that would make that statement legit is because you're okay with other groups. Yeah, we as a people, well, a lot of us, not me in particular, I see things for what they are. We are okay with white men having those images. And not to make a black man a victim. Oh, poor woe is me, black man. It's just facts. It's fucking facts. We can't shoot for that without being criticized. Like, shoot for better. Not yeah, tomorrow night's show is called Default to the Nigga Settings. So it when we don't default to the nigga settings, which I will explain that tomorrow night in very graphic detail. Not sexually graphic, but very graphic detail. Yeah. When we don't default to the nigga settings, you got people like that actually kind of come after you, especially on this platform. Call you all kinds of names. This is not the image we want to represent for the manosphere. Let me tell y'all a little story of when I was younger. Okay. uh, okay. I belong to this church organization. We did some community stuff. We did stuff like feed old people on holidays, uh, raise money for young people by through little events like car washes and such. Had little festivals, little events, little conferences in different cities. It was a real fun thing. I mean, I was in the organization as a child, and when I grew into an adult, I was in the adult, chapter of that. So we're, and I'm not supposed to talk about this. We took an oath, but let me just tell you like this: my dad is a well-spoken man. My dad is a well-spoken man. You know, people have said the same thing about me. And well spoken is kind of a stupid, denigrating term because why are you calling a black man well spoken? Because you act like the default is talking like a hood nigga for a black man. So I'm gonna like when I use terminology, I kind of bring it down so everybody can understand. And for those who are watching, make sure that you understand that there are some people who operate on lower frequencies. So, just not to insult people, it's just the way it is. I got to use certain terminology. But, anyway, my dad's a well spoken man. And someone suggested, that, oh, we don't need these educated niggas in here. This is 1996, 97, and these dudes were over 40 years old. I'll just say it like that. So, let's just do it like this. There are lots of things from the previous generations that we took that were fucked up. And it's just woven into our being. But when somebody tries to come through and correct that, like evolution does a lot of the time, you got these Negroes with lower frequencies trying to tell you you don't belong to being black. That you're trying to talk like a white guy, and because you can understand everything that I can say and my father can say and many men in my family can say, that somehow that we want to be the ivory people. Look, you know what I'm saying? And my dad went back to like 60s hood dude on this guy. I mean, he didn't fight him or nothing. He ain't hit him in his head, but he should have. But he let him know. It's like, you don't get your motherfuckers. So fuck wrong with you. This organization needs motherfuckers that know some shit, that can organize and not just worry about where the money's going or might be touching the money. Because you know what? I mean, as much as I would like for black people to work with black people, I would just say that, there be shady things going on in our organizations. And the one point that I want to make is like, we don't need these, like when people say stuff like we don't need these educated Negroes, they think they better than us, and all. When they say shit like that, you know that mentality causes the mistrust. Maybe you don't want the smart guy that figures out everything to know what your punk ass is doing, which will be exposed one day. But that's besides the point. The point is black people trying to well, now, wait a minute. I'm gonna call us all black people. Black people that default to their nigga settings are upset with black men who know how to talk worth of shit and know how to communicate and know how to make everything smooth. Now, I'm not saying that my father is better than most black men because he can talk, or black men that can talk or articulate or can speak are better than everyone else. I'm not saying that. But let me just say that in that same organization, my dad had prominent positions afterwards. Because, see, when people from other states start to see how diplomatic and how professional my dad carried himself, sorry, they saw something in him. They trusted him. He wasn't the one that was trying to come with the nigga shit, defaulting in the nigga settings. He came like he wanted everything to improve, and he was a benefit to that organization. Somebody with some common damn sense that didn't always, spend Saturday night drinking. My dad didn't drink. My dad didn't smoke. Yeah, he was straight. He was, no, I was gonna say straight edge. He's not straight edge. My dad goes to doctors and take medications and such. But he, my dad is a real stand-up guy, and what I try to get black men to see is that when you're a stand-up guy, when you're a guy that don't default to the nigga settings all the time, and I will speak more extensively about that tomorrow night, you can get very far in life. What kills me about people like my dad and your average level-headed black man who doesn't bother nobody, just worries about himself. When he goes around certain black folks, it's like has the feeling of an outsider. Now, I'm not saying that it is everybody's fault that he's like that, because any black man that intentionally removes himself before he gives himself a chance to find a good circle of black people, that's his fault. That's his fault. I get it. I was ridiculed by black people growing up, but it didn't make me give up on my blackness. You know, even though people say because oh you talk like a white boy, they people act like I don't want to be black based on that. I can't help this shit. I can't help it. God damn. I'd rather talk like me than any of you, and that's just me liking me. No offense to any of you guys. I mean, shit. Why would I want to be any of you? You know, should I have listened to more gangster rap, as they say? Should I decide to start wearing my pants at least below my uh, waistline on my drawers? Because I don't want any confusion with prison culture. You know what I'm saying? What should you do? But see, the thing is though, guys like me don't give a fuck about all that shit. There are people out there, there are black men out there, and I'm not saying this to be smug, but there are black men out there that have tried their goddamn damnedest to do the best they can in life, not hurt anyone, be what everyone said that they didn't see black men doing. That wasn't a part of the regular narrative. Actually doing something with himself, being a success. Any family he procreates, he does well with that too. You know, any any black man is like that is rejected. You find reasons to tear that dude down. I mean, it's just facts. It's just facts. You tell that guy he's jealous of Pookie because he isn't like the jail type that has like five baby mamas. I also grew up in a time around dudes like that when they were rewarding that behavior. Guys, young guys, that I mean, we still do that today. These dudes with five baby mamas getting all this neck recognition for procreating with five women. I mean, it's all good. Some men just spread their seed. They like sex. You know what I'm saying. I mean, at any rate, I would say this: a man who has set his standards. I realized the one wrong thing that I did. This was for a period in my life. The one wrong thing that I did, and this is a shame because it wasn't anything that was my fault, but I can't control the planet. I had a little few years of my life where I just wanted like one girl. But see, unfortunately for me, it wasn't like that. I was too young to realize. I had missed 2 years in high school because of homeschooling and chemotherapy treatment. So I missed maybe a crucial part of development. I'm not making any excuses. Fuck all that. But I had a different life than certain people. But I went through a period in my life where I just wanted one girl. What I didn't realize was you had to build that up to it. So, couldn't just be like the movies, couldn't be like a crush or anything. But what I didn't realize was everyone else was just fucking. It's like I said, I didn't adapt to the environment. So I had a choice to make. I had a choice to make. Did I want to join everyone else? Did I want to join everyone else? Or did I want to just be me? And I chose ultimately to be me. Period. When you were young, you make mistakes. You find yourself trying to be people that you are not. And for the younger crowd, that is a complete waste of fucking time. So there's a lot of guys that are growing up right now that's going through this same thing. With niggas around them, trying to get them to do fucked up shit. Because I hung around niggas that, tried to get me to do fucked up shit. I mean some extreme shit. Niggas snorting cocaine. You want to try some of this? No, no, motherfucker, I don't want to try that. Nope, get that shit away from me. Just weed. Try to get me to. Oh man, I'm not perfect. You know, niggas walking out on checks and shit. So shit, I don't fucking know. Shit, I don't know where they at. Shit. I take accountability for me. She was trying to get me to do all kinds of fucked up shit. Because see, one of them even admitted, like, "Oh, you just seem like a smart guy," and like it's like this. Like I said, that kind of shit is subjective. Because I can say complete sentences does not mean that I am a smart guy. Okay, there are plenty of people that have done better than me. But see, that kind of ignorance is what led that particular person that I hung out with at the time say some shit like that. Oh, you seem like a smart guy. I don't know. Like he told me something very, very important, and it'll always stick with me. He said, I don't know if you're here to influence me to be a better person, or if I'm here to influence you to be a worse person. I haven't spoken to that guy in years. He went to prison one time. I saw him in passing, and he started talking all this Bible, and I haven't masturbated in 300 days, and all this bull. Like, not literally, fucking literally. He said that, and that's like, I don't want to know this. I mean, it's good to see that you're out, breathe some fresh air, man. You know, cause see, this is a guy that I looked out for. I got him jobs. I rode him to places that he needed to go. I mean, just because he, like I said, he came from a kind of a struggle background. It was just his mother. I mean, I worked with the guy one time. I tried to really like, and this is my fucking problem with people. It's like everybody thinks there's an ulterior motive for helping people. It's like that doesn't have to be an ulterior motive for helping somebody. And the motherfucker let me down. So when I talk like this, I have tons of fucking evidence. you know, Tons of fucking evidence as to what happened. When you try to help somebody, they can't. No matter what, they can't help themselves. Period. You know, he was trying to get me to like screw fat chicks. I mean, and I'm just, and like if you like if you like Lizzo types, I mean that's your business. But it's like this: the one thing, no matter what, that I always held on to at the end of the day, no matter what fucking friends I had, because I grew eventually tired of the guy. And I was like, look, man, look, you ain't trying to improve, man. Look, you ain't trying to improve. Like, I ain't trying to treat you really better than a family member. You're becoming a burden. Like, some of you have had burdensome friends. And no matter what path an adult decided to take, because I was trying to get myself together at the time. I couldn't bother myself with niggas that wanted to default to the nigga settings. And the more and more I saw as the year went by, the more and more I saw people like him. Because at one time, I thought he was cool because he had all these girls and shit. That was a much younger me. But then as I grew up, it was like, damn, bro, you can't keep a job. Seriously, I went from like helping this dude to being totally fucking mean to him because he was just like he was a thug. He was a thug basically. He was a pookie. By the time our friendship kind of subsided, he had two baby mamas. I'm like, dude, for real? And his reasoning for it was so I can keep going around them, so I can always have access. I'm saying it in my well articulate way. I'm just telling you about how niggas function. And I'm sitting up there like, wow, for real? This is fucked up. I would never do this to somebody. And one of them bitches was plumb crazy. So, I mean, but as time went on, his type was more accepted and more accepted and more accepted and more accepted till you see all those bad percentages. You see all those bad percentages today that you see. There's no use in always coming at a guy like he's an educated lame because this is the after effect of like accepting nigga shit for so long. And then when you come after these guys, how can you blame them for leaving? How can you blame them for saying stuff like, and I explained this before a long time ago, SYSBM. It's not an ideology that I personally sign up with, but you can't blame them. You can't blame guys for like just wanting to be the kind of guys right now that just want to live their lives because this shit runs so rampant. R.I.P. good black man. They don't want you around. is is like is like when people when the regular question when they hear good black man, when the regular question is what's a good black man, that just means that they have no idea what one is. And then when they see one, they reject the guy. A lot of a lot of good black men really, and I'm going to go ahead and say this, and I'm not trying to take away from anything that we're doing up here on this platform. They don't make themselves known. They don't have to. They have like, I would say they feel as if they have a higher purpose. I would say, and and when you sit back and observe these kinds of types, um, you can't blame you can't do anything but give them their props. But it's not a recognized archetype in the minds and in the perceptions and in the mentalities of a lot of our people, the majority of melanated people in Western culture. There's no such thing as a good black man. So how can you not look at it as a good black man is dead to them? It's a very dark concept, I would say, to say that black men just aren't good, that there are no good black men. I mean, shit, that would be as destructive as, let's say, if there were no good black women. Though both are very destructive. You can have no good black men, but you have all good black women, gone, dead. You got you got all good black. I mean, you got all good, whatever, and the other way around, vice versa. and I do believe one side like really believes that they're like the good ones that the black race can carry on. Females. Like, oh my, yeah, since we're black and since we carry the magic and we're the fruit of, we have the womb and the fruit inside the womb and all this other stuff and we rock together and yoni, yoni, yoni. Oh, we can carry on the black race with white men. Oops. I mean, I've seen that shit seen so many times. Yeah, they say y'all a trip. Roguish the Bill Monger, what's going on? I'm gonna drop this link in a little bit. But what do y'all think, man? Do you think that is the image of the good black man dead? Is dead to a lot of people because they give it such a high bar that it's impossible to touch. Like their perception of a good black man has no flaws, spotless. Have a body of a Greek god, the god face, as Zero says, 6 feet, 6 to 7, high 6 to 7 figures, because you got people that say 6 figures ain't that much, which is stupid. You have to be spotless. I mean, your credit better be fucking 2,000, 2,000, and also. And like they're gonna keep moving the goalposts on this. That's why Kevin Samuels came with that Eternal Seven story. Shout out to Kevin Samuels. Shit, he got to be every goddamn thing. I mean, they're gonna keep moving the goalposts. They're gonna keep moving the goalposts. This man, this man got to be. Oh yeah, also he got to like fat, really really dark skinned chicks. And I'm not a colorist. I don't believe in that colorist bullshit. Besides, oh yeah, let's talk about something for a second. Let's talk about Mr. Too Short. What the fuck is Too Short apologizing for? Huh? Nigga? What? For real? Nigga apologize crying. You know why? I mean, like, the only rational thing that I come up with, and let me just give you a little brief story, brief synopsis on what I'm talking about. Too Short is it was a story that broke the other day that Too Short is apologizing for preferring light skinned women. And I think he was crying like Snoop Dogg on our Red Table Talk. And my thing is, all right, cool, whatever. I mean, I don't see why you're apologizing for liking black women. I mean, that's kind of stupid, but you know, um, Here's my thing. The only rational thing I can come up with on that note is that Snoop, like that, Too Short might be sick. He might be seeing his mortality coming. People start to break down when they see their mortality coming, and I'll say that about Shock G. Like I watched some of his interviews before he died, and they were cryptic, and they can start letting it all go. Oh my God, I did these, and I mean like, and I'm just saying why he's saying it because if you ever listen to Too Short's music, like I'm talking about all of it. I ain't talking about that CD that the last. He talking about this the last album, and it wasn't the last album because he just couldn't stay away. Yeah, we've been riding with Too Short ever since Life is Too Short. Now the old school G's remember that. Some of y'all youngins don't. Yeah, but for those of you who know who Too Short is, just another old rapper that is regretful of disrespecting the girls back in the day. They called them hoes and bitches and whatever. I mean, it was basically hoes and bitches, and I mean it was widely accepted. I'm not saying that the mentality that we're dealing with, that it basically killed the image of the good black man, exists now in 2020 or 2021 or in present day. But I mean that image pretty much started like in the late 80s to early 90s. Because there's old rappers coming out like Bun B, saying, well, if you talk about BWs, black women, then you ain't no homie of mine. But yet and still on Super Tight, he's like, him and Pimp C talking about I got some high school pussy. I'm like, God damn, man. For real? I mean, even then, I was like, that might come back to bite you in the ass. But at the time, we knew that was true because there was a lot of high school girls messing with older guys. So I couldn't disagree with it too much. But, just based on the concept of what we're dealing with today, I mean, it's like when these guys get old and they have to use Viagra, all of a sudden they're remorseful all the days that they were, having bitches in the hotel room snorting cocaine off their penises. What I'm saying is, they contributed to that mentality that became so cool that the idea of a productive, and like I say, when I say the word good, I'm being subjective. The idea of a good, productive brother seemed weird, seemed lame, educated lame. I heard SWP put those words together, and I believe that he probably had another intention for it. But we bastardized that shit in the present day. We bastardize it. We just believe that and don't take it from me. Don't think I'm trying to shape this image of this good black man. Now, it's not on me. I don't control all images. But think about it. What do you think the image of a good black man is? You guys watching. Someone who isn't R. Kelly, hopefully. What's your image? Then think about that image and then call it an educated lame. Not if they got braids in their head or anything like that, wearing their pants down, and then they listen to Young Thug and I don't know, Soundgarden. Shit. I mean, what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Did we collectively kill the good black man? Should I have treated this more like a eulogy? If I did, I think that I'd have been ripping MJP. I don't want to. Well, Minister Jap. I ain't want to do that. He's already doing like the preaching stuff, and like he's pretty good at it. This shit's funny as fuck. But I'm like the guy that speaks at the funeral. I would say that knew the guy. That's not too beat up. You know why I'm not too beat up? Because I seen this shit coming. It makes room for a new archetype, and we've been discussing this for weeks and weeks and weeks. I'm just saying because we destroyed the good black man. We have completely destroyed him. We reject him. We gave weak archetypes to your image of a good black man. I ain't saying weak archetypes, but made to look weak in inopportune times. As far as their level of education and their articulation, my two most famous examples is Steve Urkel and Carlton Banks. Niggas listen to TV, for real. We have been given this culture, and with that culture came its flaws. And the archetypes that always were cool were never the brother that had his shit together. Guess who had to do that? Old school BET. Old school BET had to put those images out there. As far as mainstream media, I mean, y'all like our parents, if they got us to this point alive, they did a great job because of what we had to deal with. But we listen to TV a lot, or it was replaced with something like music. So to say our culture isn't ours, it is. Really, it is at the end of the day because we built the fuck out of it. So we can't say it's not our culture. We can't say American culture is not our culture because they wouldn't have this motherfucker if it wasn't for us. They wouldn't. We adapted to the culture. I mean, it's kind of smoothing out now, but back then they gave us the images that they wanted us to have, and that's what we adapted from. We became a worker bee type people who always made money for everyone else. And I ain't gonna lie, the mentality was kind of a separation. It was kind of segregationist when I was in high school. Like you'll have like the kids who were getting by and not so academic separated from the academic kids. Like I noticed that the academic black kids would always separate themselves from the kids that called themselves the cool kids, and the kids who called themselves the cool kids always separate themselves from the extremely academic kids. And that's how you knew there was evidence of a separation. If all of those um, if all of those archetypes were always able to intermingle, especially with the so-called quote unquote hood types, then you will have this ideal of this black community that a lot of people try to talk themselves into believing actually exist. These are the images they don't want you to see. Because don't get me wrong, I love hearing about the excellence of black people. I love hearing about the excellence of black men, because if you would, you would think, and let's just use this platform as an example. A platform of YouTube in the black space, you would think black men were complete losers. Terenzo Jones, yes, it is an engineered culture. You would think that black men were completely, just utterly, just gone out of here. But there's a small defense that's going to grow into an exponential uh, way of thinking that will defeat it one day. And might I say boldly, that movement is called the habitual line steppers. Long live the habitual line steppers. You thought I was going to say about somebody else? Yeah, yeah. Remember this. Remember this. Uh, I would say, like, as far as the forecast goes, just try a little. And that's no diss to anyone else, because we pretty solid over here. I'm not saying that others aren't. I'm just saying as the shape and the way things are right now, I would say that the community is pretty much fucked for the next. I don't know. I don't know. Shit. It's so hard to tell it right now because the lines are so blurry. It's politically and socially. It's just and even race. And I'm not talking about black men dating and marrying white girls. I ain't talking about that. What I'm talking about is people of color concept. Blending in with other people who are non-white and calling them people of color. No, I don't want that. I don't want it. It doesn't matter what I want at the end of the day. It's got to be the majority. The majority doesn't seem to want an image of a good black man. All these sons out here. And then these younger ones that's coming up, them motherfuckers started to say fuck that. Contrary to what you might think, these kids are smarter these days. If you're not providing a foundation, they will build their own and they will resent you for it. So that's already happening. They will leave our community. They will, and I mean, like, good luck. Good luck with everything. I'm not hating on you guys. I'm not gonna sit up here and talk about people who want to leave for 8, 9, 10 hours. Black men, you ain't shit. The reason why they leave because y'all saying black men ain't shit. People don't think people. That's one thing. People like to get away with whatever they want to say, and then when you clap back, not clap back, because that sounds. When you offer a rebuttal, then it's all of this making you believe that you're wrong and crazy, which is another social term, gaslighting. In other words, you're not being taken seriously and you're not being respected. Who wants to stay in a situation where they're not being respected just for not fucking shit up? Imagine that. Being penalized for not fucking shit up. That's stupid. Man, you think you better than us. No, I don't. I'm just not going to agree with everything the stupid collective fucking thinks. Shit, let me be on my own. As long as I'm not hurting anyone, I'm good. You're good. Most of these so-called quote-unquote guys who are called good guys, good men, they don't give a fuck about fucking shit up, causing conflict, acting like a pookie. Just well-to-do guys. You ever heard? You ever heard? You ever heard like a guy that was quiet and was good and kept to himself called a serial killer by your peers of homies? Man, he might be a serial killer. He might walk in here one day and shoot up the police. All because he doesn't act like a stereotypical ass Negro. I know because I've had times in my life where I would joke on a guy like that. And it would never like be too long. It would always be I will go back to, just trying to be empathetic toward other black men who are actually trying to do good. Maybe the guy did something to piss me off and then I just threw a joke out there or something. Never to an extent of a long tenured campaign of fucking with somebody. Because if I did that, then I'd be just like the guys who shun the image of the good black man. Now, do I have an image of a good black man? No, it's subjective. For those of you who just joined, and hopefully you press the like button, I would say picture in your head the image of a good black man. All right, let me go through some of these comments. Let me. What I. Let's see. We got Jaquan. We got Black to the Film. Ryan James. Cortez Smith. Peter Frank, the guy with the two first names. What's going on? The man got a German Shepherd in his profile pic, man. Shoot, we ain't got good experiences with German shepherds and our herbals. Um, you mentioned music. That's neuro linguistic programming. Yeah, I mean they put messages behind the beat, and then if you don't have a strong foundation of guidance, you tend to get swooned into those kinds of messages. Combined with whatever campaigns that they are throwing out on TV, could have a very big effect. Imagine listening to MC Hammer and thinking that you had to dance to be cool. Although that does no physical harm to anyone else, you might it might do physical harm to yourself because you trying to turn around and do the typewriter and shit, and then you know jump up in the air, doing all these wild dance moves, and you might fuck up your ankle. But still, you know, but still, I thought it was cool. Imagine having violent music in your ear like that, thinking it's cool to slang drugs, not just weed, because weed men and dope boys, they're two different breeds. Like they kind of blend in when it comes to but I can tell the difference definitely. Weed men that deal in the high grade. Well, back in the day, anyway. I'm thinking about an old mentality. Discard that bullshit. But weed dealers and dope boys. Let's put it like that. What if you wanted to be just a dope boy in the trap? I mean, these messages played around young kids. Let me tell you something. It's nothing like the sight of a 10-year-old kid that smokes cigarettes. There's nothing like the sight. If you're any kind of human, that kind of does something to you. The youngest I've seen is 8. All because they hung around dudes that listen to that music all their lives and think that's a lifestyle. Man, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. I've had friends that told me that like I hung out with two guys like they were one of my weed. They were like weed dudes, and this I think that I was like 21, 22. We were sitting around smoking, listening to uh, Master P CDs. I forget which one. Fiend, the first Fiend. I think it's all in the family or something. The one with who got that fire on it. We was listening to that, and one of the songs came on, and they start going off. They start running off a roster of guys who they hung out with that had got shot and killed. I was like, shit. Yeah, men like that. I mean, they weren't bad guys. Who am I to judge? I mean, I don't know how many bodies they had on them. One dude ended up turning himself to God. Shoot, or even if they were telling the truth in the first place, but I believed them. They were about that life. Kev, you never shot a gun before? No, I ain't never shot a gun before. Shoot. At the time, bust a couple in the air, it felt different. It felt like death in my hand. Because I know people can get killed that way. And that's how alien I was to the concept of being a violent, hostile person. But this was regular to these guys, and it was one thing that they all had in common was they didn't have a good guidance system, and they pumped that music all day. They were introduced to stuff that I was introduced to at a very much later age. Everybody talk about what Boosie did, but man, I got some stories. You know how Boosie bought his kid an escort or whatever. A lot of people are upset about that. Why is the Boosie in jail? I was like, why isn't the escort in jail? What the fuck are you talking about? I mean, shit. I mean, that shit's weird. I'll say that. I would. I mean, that shit's weird. But let me tell you something. But compare that to actual reality and what you grew up with, the kind of things that you were exposed to. I'm not justifying any of it. I'm speaking that in the context of that shit is crazy. Imagine a young man that has to go through all that, have to become an adult in like 13 years. Never had a chance to be a kid. That shit's chaotic. That shit is extremely chaotic. But you know what happens to guys like that that's confused, that's forced to do things like, or push really to do things like having sex when they are at a very early age, smoking cigarettes, maybe smoking weed, shit like that. Have being around dudes that did dumb shit like get in fights and shoot guns and kill people. I'm talking about all that stuff. All that stuff. I mean, this world is crazy. It was crazy back then. I can only imagine what it is now. I'm glad I'm not young in this present day. Damn, how do you young people deal with some of this shit? And I'm not saying that, parents who try to remove their kids from that by sending them to top notch schools, and moving to these so called quote unquote risky neighborhoods. Shit, there's a place where people in the age group can generally congregate no matter what schools they go to. Places like malls, places like sporting events. What if your boy who you've worked so hard to raise met a girl from the hood and just really fell for her? I mean, shit, he could be 18, 19, 20. You could warn him as a parent. And I'm just saying, it's like, I'm not saying that this kind of shit is to is exclusive to single mom homes. I mean, there are problems in two parent homes too. I'm not doing whataboutism, and I do understand that the problematic two parent home shit is the exception because that's just by the numbers thing. But what if he meets a girl from the hood and go visit her in the hood? First thing they're gonna call him is a fucking Poindexter. Poindexter. That's love. They love that. But hood niggas love that name, Poindexter. What if it's one of them too good niggas, like one of them niggas that's like, oh, that nigga think he too good, and actually tries the motherfucker. Personally, if she's any kind of woman, she's gonna try to keep, her those hood elements off of him. But hey, he could be dropping her off one night. Get the kiss by the door, or maybe end up behind the door and get a little smackdown. Smackdown, maybe not versus Raw. We don't want Raw if outside of marriage. That's a disastrous idea. Unless of course you've gone through the things like proper contraceptives and birth control, and in some cases guys getting vasectomies. Now that does exist. You know, but you still got to consider STDs at the end of the day. So just always keep that in mind. You get a little bit of shabambu and it be late. It's best for you to stay in the morning, but depending on what kind of relationship you have, you would probably have to have a firearm on you. And sometimes that doesn't even matter. You could be walking back to the door, somebody pull a gun on you. Everybody in the hood ain't got the same understanding. That kid you work so hard for is exposed to a situation that you never intended them to be exposed to. This is a hypothetical situation. I'm making this up. But shit like this could happen. You move to a ritzy neighborhood. You send him to the best schools, and he still ends up in the hood in a fucked up situation. Why? Because we didn't care enough to send our very best. No, it's like this. I'm just saying this because this whole thing could become a problem for all of us. It may not necessarily be your fault. You may do the very best with your kid, but then they got to get affected by nigga shit. that everyone thinks is cool. Not everyone. Not me. Not sensible, critically thinking black men, which do exist, because I'm here to say the good black man is not actually dead. Never went away. I'm not saying I'm a good black man. I let other people determine that. Good black men don't have to call themselves good black men. Just like alpha males don't have to call themselves alpha males. If you got a YouTube channel with the name of alpha male in it, and I know I railed against the alpha narrative, and I did that before I realized that there was a guy named, that has alpha in his YouTube channel. So no diss to him, because whatever he's doing is working. He's prospering very much from the way he carries his channel. So, but I stick by what I said about that. Alphas, true alphas, really don't call themselves alphas. No diss to that guy. He's making money off that shit. So let that guy rock. But good men, at the end of the day, don't have to call themselves good men. He defines that by his actions and his works and his ability to carry himself. But when we think about that guy, when we think about that guy's dead to us. I say us because even though we may dismiss them niggas, they still our people. Do I have a resentment for us because of that? Yes, I do. I'm very angry with us because of this. I had a belief that we were better than this as a people. Makes me fucking angry to believe that we would throw away an image that helps us because we're so pissed off and pissy with a few guys that we don't agree with. And also, let's not discount WS, the worst nigga setting. I still got faith in us. I haven't thrown away the concept of being black completely, just because it seemed like a lot of you, a lot of us, have thrown it away. We don't believe in it anymore for various reasons. Maybe financial, maybe spiritual, maybe relationship wise. But, and I will say this, the good black man ain't going no goddamn where. Seriously. A lot of the guys just transformed into the ruthless nice guy. Yeah, I'm good and ruthless right now. Shit, I don't like. See y'all. See y'all tried to. See, you guys tried to destroy the good guy. Us, we, and some of you like, I ain't talking. You talking about me? Yeah, I'm talking about your ass. If you black, we destroyed. We attempted to destroy the good guy, and what the good guy did was he decided to say, "Hey, you know what? Fuck you, but I'm still gonna carry myself as a good guy." So we're now the ruthless nice guy. Now again, I'm not calling myself good, but I do adopt the principles of the ruthless nice guy. So if I just called myself good, that was my error. You can think I'm good all you want. A lot of people don't, because I'm a black man, period. There's no way there is a good black man. You have to put up with the shit. That's their requirement. So fuck them. Basically, fuck them and tell them the truth at all times, even if it hurts their feelings. Period. Since they want to act like that, since they want to attempt to murder you as a good guy, a good black man, think about that shit. Think about how corny that is. Think about how egregious that is. Think about it. I want you to think about it. And most importantly, don't give up on trying to be as good as possible. Please. I ask that of you. You ain't got to do it, but I ask that of you. I'm going to go ahead and drop this link. Jaquan says, what's going on, Jaquan? Not Jaquan, Jaquan. Says it's going to take about a decade or two. Petway boy, what's going on? I notice I'm slowly turning into the ruthless nice guy. I got tired of people using my kindness for weakness. And I mean, like, you ain't got to be the loudest, Joe. You ain't got to be the most angry, most boisterous, most destructive force in all of creation. You ain't got to do all that shit. You ain't got to do all that. But you don't have to deal with you don't have to deal with the silly shit. The etymology of nice is childish, silly, and immature. Oh, okay. Yeah, I get that, but we put ruthless in front of it and guy behind it. So, in saying that, we do understand the ridiculousness of that. So, I do agree, Terenzo Jones. I do agree. I do agree. We agree 100%. Absalom Payonki TV says, check that shit at the door. Yes. Yes, I agree. Definitely. Petway boy, I usually walk away with the energy isn't good. Yeah, yeah. You have to decide that. You know, they want you to be the leader. They want you to be they want you to open yourself, but they can't open themselves. Indigenous TV, what's going on? Fuck that. Fuck all of that. Shit. R.I.P. Good black man. Thank you, black people. Thank you. Thank you for showing black men the way. Period. Point blank. Not end the discussion. Not just yet. Oh man, we've we've been doing this for a whole hour. So since y'all stuck with me for an hour, let me give you guys a little treat, and I'll be right back. I like playing that. I like playing that. So, shoot. Indigenous TV says black men are becoming Jason Bourne. Oh, what? We lose our memories, but we're just ruthless by nature? That Terenzo Jones. Here's the catch. Whatever you create and define, run with and change the narrative. Run with it and change the narrative. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Of course. Absolutely. What's going on, Chaos Rain? All right. The subject matter for tonight is thank you, black people, RIP black man. I mean, RIP good black man. Good black man. Doesn't mean that the good black man is gone per se. It's just that it has to, it's a transformative process, basically, because we as black men, whether we are good or whether we are somewhat below that, we have to adapt. It has to be an adaptation. Damn, some of the live viewer count dropped. Did y'all not like my little video? God damn. I don't know. Some people are going to get a sandwich, and then it is quite late. I got started a little late, so it's all good. Shit, but if you are still here and you haven't, please go below this screen and hit that like button. If it's your first time here, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well, because there is more to come here in the habitual line steppers. Yeah, so Absalom Fianca TV, that's cruelty to animals, Kev. Shit, I didn't make the video. Shit, it's just one of them. It was one of them videos on social media, that was meant to be funny. So hey, it's just it is what it is. Let's put these things to good use. I mean, you have to be somewhat entertaining. Just laugh at yourself a little bit. You know. But anyway, it's I mean, it's all good. I like doing this, and I like having many things to offer this program. And in the near future, the production value around here will increase, and there will be a better presentation. And I do it all for you guys. I come up with these topics for you guys because I come up with these topics to you guys because this I got to I got to. I got to. I care. So yeah. What do we do? What do we do? What exactly happens to these guys that want to carry a good image? A lot of guys. I mean, if one thing I do find out is even in like the common circle of friends is that one guy that seems to be a little introverted. You always got the friends that are encouraging him to come out. Now let's speak a little positive about this until someone decides to, Um, yeah, I mean, there are actually people who want to perpetuate the image of the good guy. Just and let me tell you, I can't really say who these people are. They come in many forms. They come in businessmen. They come in clergymen. Might come in the form of a gym trainer. I'm just throwing out different archetypes. People that try to get you to be your better self as a black man. You know, to try to hang on to hope. In this space, they call guys like that hope preachers or whatever. And I feel like that's a really smug, immature title. I don't ever believe that you should be kind of angry or upset with a person who tries to bring out the good in people. I mean, you don't, even if you like I know I said a clergyman, that's like priest or preacher, and we speak kind of low of men of the cloth around here sometimes, but let's just say that they are living out their actual purpose. Those kinds of men can uh, have restorative properties to the good image, even if you don't carry the same beliefs as they do. I mean, because even if you don't believe the same thing that someone else is, you can feed off the good in a person. And there are men like that do exist. I mean, depending on the kind of circles they end up in. See, like myself, I'm lucky to have friends that I've known for like, I would say decades, like a couple of decades or whatever. Or, yeah, people I've hung out with, and we just, we're all good friends. And I would say that these guys always wanted to see me become a better person. And I can say I've been extremely lucky. It's not all bad. It's not all niggas and negroes and niggettes and bitches and shit like that. There are good people that exist. I said that right before the video. I stated this. I stated this right. Shit. I'm sorry. I got thrown off. OG is up here, but sorry for getting lost. That does happen sometimes. I have a brain fart. But anyway, what's going on? If I remember, I'll say something else about it. Sorry, guys.
Hey, how you doing tonight,
Yeah,
Kev?
yeah, yeah. But I was saying something to the effect of, There is nothing wrong with feeding off the positive archetypes. Picking. I mean, especially for our kids, picking better role models. And we have to often when we talk about these things, just offer up some ideas that could lead up to solutions. And since it's too late for many of us, since disposition, and I've said this many times, it starts with our children, the children that you made, that you procreated. Granted that if you are a man and it's not being made difficult for you, I would say that. I mean, and then, and I'm not letting deadbeat dads off the hook. I'm just saying that there are many scenarios and situations. But yeah, put respect back into the positive figures that is, in the black community instead of always going to these horrible, horrible archetypes. So what's going on, man? What's on your mind? You got the floor for a little bit.
Yeah, man, I was just, it's important. I was just thinking on this image stuff and image perception reality. You ever heard that term? Like in like
Yes.
psychological jargon, they say image perception reality.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I get that completely.
Yeah, and that's why I think as we talk about this and we talk about the different archetypes of man, the alpha, the beta, the sigma, the zeta males, this stuff is deep, and I don't think we necessarily think about it as we interact in society. I personally think our image helped us. That bad image that we had in the 80s and 90s, it actually helped us because, before that, we were seen as nitpicking victims. If you watch the old movies and stuff like that and the old imagery, we were always getting pushed around or bullied. I for one enjoyed seeing a brother stand up for himself. Like, have you ever seen a show called Boardwalk Empire?
No, but I know what you're talking about.
Boardwalk Empire has a character called Chalky White, and this is a brother that had his own business during Prohibition, and the mafia tried to come push him out. This is the show, you know, and it just showed his intelligence as an uneducated black man in this country where he didn't have a degree and he wasn't educated at the highest schools, and it's really an in-depth look at a black man's attitude and the way he had to live and survive in a time where there was real racism and discrimination and things of that nature. Because right now, I think we could all agree as brothers, we not really discriminated against as harshly as we used to be. I'm not saying we don't face any discrimination, but the way that we can move through the world now, we have much more leeway now that we've actually gotten to deal with people. Once people deal with us, they tend to like us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We have magnetic personalities, infectious even.
But them knowing that we ain't gonna take no shit has helped us.
Yeah, yeah,
Them knowing that hey, you mess with that black dude, he might fuck around and beat your ass. Like that's helped us
yeah,
in
yeah.
business and life in general. I know they tried to make caricatures out of us and certain stuff like don't be a menace to South Central and all that, but the epitome of upright black men were men like Sidney Poitier and Denzel Washington, and those are like as actors, but also like Robert Johnson, he was always an upright brother. You know what I mean? And what's the brother name that just tried to buy ABC? He was trying to buy MTV or something. He's a billionaire though.
Talking about Byron Allen.
Byron Allen. Yeah, like these men, their personalities were always upright and they were always articulate and intelligent. And I think that people started to realize like, hey, this shit on TV is just caricatures of these dudes. I know black men and they're not like that at all. You know what I mean? Even the trope that we're mostly in prison and stuff like that, that's not true. And I think as people started meeting us, as we started speaking up, like, come on, look at what y'all saying. There's a very small group of us that have been to prison, And just because they've been in prison, that doesn't make them criminals. People have did crimes and they realize they mistake and change after they did that crime. And that's a large segment of us because we're going to have to be honest. A lot of us did not grow up in an environment that was conducive to success. We didn't know nothing about politics or socioeconomics or the levels we could move through in education or anything. A lot of us didn't know anything growing up.
Let me say that about that prison thing and that prison image. And once again, it contributes to destruction of any chance a good black man has. Some people are like unjustly imprisoned. I know that the very high percentage of the prison population are young black men. But you have to think about it this way. Um, Two things. Number one, other countries have rehabilitation programs for keeping prisoners who have a hope of being reintegrated into society, teaching them skills and you know giving them having them being able to obtain some form of an education. So when they reintegrate into society, they can go get jobs and they can survive and stay away from that life of crime. Um, Over here, we pretty much throw away these guys. Is a school to prison pipeline. They want you as a black man to end up being some 2 3 time loser that makes shoestrings for Nike for 2 cents an hour. They don't. They're not teaching you an actual skill. Uh, they are not trying to rehab you to integrate back into society. What they're trying to do is they're setting you up to come back. And, part of the other part of the problem is we welcome and embrace ideologies and images that lead to that ending, you know. And
Well, I
that's a
don't
shame.
think it's necessarily that this is the thing. The criminal element in every society exists. For the Italians, it was the
I
mafia.
yeah, yeah, I
Listen to what
go
I'm
ahead.
saying, brother. I'm not trying to big up anyone. I'm saying that there's always a criminal element in society, and they're always popular. Let's not be like they're always popular. They're always looked at as the tough guys. This is just part of society. In India,
The
you had
bad boy image.
yeah, in India you had the thuggy. In Japan you had the yakuza. In Italy you had the mafia, and and everywhere in Africa you got different groups. Jamaica you got posse. You know what I mean? So it's like this is just our shatas, our posse, or and then even if you go to the Philippines, they have their own form of the gangster. The Korean, the Chinese, this is just a part of imagery in every culture and society. And I think that we focus too much on that just because, we are a small population of men that are trying to do better, but those are our men too. And one thing I've seen in other societies, they don't necessarily shun those dudes. They just keep them dudes in their level. And I think that we have been so busy trying to separate ourselves from that where we didn't never have to because we never participated in it a lot of times. Like I don't have to say I'm not a bank robber because I don't rob banks. Like you know what I mean? Like that's a conundrum. That's redundant for me to say that I don't do something when I've never done it. And I think that it was such a stigma put on us with the lies and the propaganda that you have a lot of brothers that have to bust out, well, I don't do this and I don't do that. We never said you did, brother. Like, I've heard even brothers in on the internet and in different spaces make these statements, and they call people names, and I'll be like, I just kind of sit back and think about their level of intelligence to even say something like that. Like, why would you even say that? You don't have to say that. You don't have to say these things when it's not inherent to you.
I get it.
You get what I mean?
I get it. I get it. But we should be concerned with about ourselves. I mean, I'm not saying that that's the image at the forefront, but I think I pretty much already established through my monologue that, yeah, this is something that is a part of our culture. Yeah, the Asian have their yakuza. They uplift that image and they make movies about it, and they have, their documentaries. White people, they embrace their serial killers. They embrace their criminal element. They, I mean, yeah, like mob bosses and gangsters. They still making movies and documentaries about Al Capone. you know,
Oh
uh,
yeah,
you know.
like man,
Uh,
I was actually thinking about writing a book about the black gangsters in Harlem. Because a lot of people don't know if it wasn't for them, there wouldn't be a lot of things in our culture that we even knew about.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Ellsworth, Bumpy Johnson, Frank Lucas.
Yeah, Philip T. Randolph. See, a lot of
Yeah.
people don't even know who Philip T. Randolph is. He's the reason there's even black people in Harlem. Because the Harlem tenements were built for like people that were coming overseas from like Prague and Czechoslovakia and all those Eastern European bloc countries that had defected during the Cold War and stuff like that. That's what Harlem was slated for, but they didn't want to. They couldn't afford to pay the rent.
Hey,
This
but
is
let
a
me tell
city that, yeah,
but let me go ahead and just tell you this like this. Okay, of all these negative images that people have embraced, which has been the most counterproductive for said group? Now, if we want to go ahead and do the images they don't want you to see as far as blacks, let's go ahead and put them images out here. I never denied that. I never denied that. I refuse to put black men in this loser category. And but it's nothing wrong with us being concerned with us. It's not that we just go ahead and look and reach for the negative things. You're actually in the part of the monologue where I was trying to get to the positive stuff. But there is a positive that's on this comment. Gavin St. Clair, who is from California, so we got some California in here. He said, here in California, that's not true. My cousin was a low level drug dealer on the block, and in prison, he was taught fiber optics. Yes, there should be more educational programs, for guys to, if they are down on their luck, then they can have the skills to be reintegrated back into society. And, I bet you he's making okay money too, maybe even
yeah.
good money. And,
Well, that's the thing, brother. The brothers actually, we have to accept that there's always going to be a portion of us that don't want to do shit. See, it's not going to ever be 100% brothers is doing trades and skills because some brothers don't want to do that. And there's some European males who don't do it, some Mexican men don't do it, some Asian. We have to just let them go and stop even speaking about it because it's not our concern. If
what
if you if you are a law abiding citizen, no, just listen, hear me out, brother. If you're a law abiding citizen, even if you went to prison, and I'm speaking from experience, when you come home from prison, there's all these activities. There's brothers willing to help you. The only thing that's hindering you from changing is your will. You can't will somebody to do something. It's like the saying, you can't lead a horse. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. As brothers, I believe that's focused on our image and where we're going in our trajectory in the future and us obtaining resources and power and even agency over us doing mega business or starting international corporations or conglomerates or anything we would like to do, we have to leave off the dead weight. I'm not saying nothing bad about no brother. I'm saying for us to continuously talk about that is redundant because you're not a criminal, Kev. It's clear that you're not a criminal. You don't sell drugs. You don't rob people. So what would you be concerned with the people who do that for?
I would be
That's a
cons-
waste of energy. Even the brothers say rehabilitation. Rehabilitation starts when the person feels like being rehabilitated. As a person who I grew up with addicts as parents, and there was nothing that I could do for them, and I tried my whole life. It wasn't until they made the decision to stop doing drugs that you could do something for them. But if you're trying to rehabilitate an addict who's not ready for rehabilitation, huh, go ahead and fight that uphill battle.
What up, Mike? What's going on? How you
Hey,
doing?
can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you. What's going on?
Hey, how's it going, brothers?
Yeah, so just want you to speak
Um,
for a second, cause just want to make sure that you were serious, cause you never been up here before, and we've had a time with trolls. Some people do
oh,
troll.
I'm not a
So,
troll, brother. I've been on other panels. I've been on, Concrete Rose, the channel, and a couple other YouTubers. I
oh
check in
okay,
from you time to time, and I'm subscribed to you.
oh
I
okay,
was
all
listening
right.
to the conversation, and I think one thing we need to realize is that first of all, none of the crime in the black community is innate. We have to understand that poverty breeds crime. Anywhere where there's poverty, there's going to be crime. That goes for any race, white, black, Latino. Just like the brother said, every race has the organization, right? The yakuza, the triads, the mafia. The only difference between foundational Black Americans when it comes to crime and other communities when it comes to crime is that their crime is based off of exclusively race, meaning even though their activity is illegal, they do it for the benefit of the greater people, for the people of their community. So, for instance, you can't become part of the mafia if you're black. Will black people will include other people into everything? We include them in both legal stuff and illegal stuff. We'll bring them into hip hop. We'll bring them into jazz. We'll bring them into every aspect of our community. And then when these people come in and they either perfect it or try to take it over, will scream racism. So we have to start being inclusive to ourselves and get away from the crime because the crime is basically giving us nothing but coffins. You know what I'm saying? People are just dying. I understand some of the challenges that we face. I'm not going to sit here and say that everything is easy, but we've been doing this stuff for how many years? Like, how many years have the Bloods and the Crips been around for? And they're still fighting each other. Well, every other gang in LA is clicking up with each other. You see this with the Mexican Mafia. The Mexican Mafia is bringing all the Latino gangs under their umbrella. Same thing with the whites. The whites are bringing all their white gangs under their umbrella. We're the only ones still fighting each other and
Excuse
bickering
me,
with
hey,
each
where
other.
you from? Excuse me, brother, where you from, Mike?
I'm from New York City. I live in Las Vegas.
Okay, most deaf, most deaf. But I just was going to, like, the original history of our gangs, there wasn't supposed to be white people or nothing in them.
Correct.
The thing about our gangs is they got infiltrated during Cow Intel Pro. The gangs have been infiltrated and assimilated into American culture. That's why you see white boys and Mexicans and shit talk about they Bloods and Crips and G's and Lords and
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, that shit is
right.
fucking crazy, and yeah, what gang's original purpose wasn't even to fight each other though. They were like neighborhood protection because cops kept fucking with everybody.
Well, no, the
Kind of
history.
like the Black Panthers.
Well, no, the history with all gangs came from the Black Panthers, brother. All the black organizations came after the dismemberment of the Panthers
That
to
is
try to
true. That is
reorganize.
true. That is true.
The original gang lit did not start in California. It started in Chicago with the Black Stones and Jeff Fort and them, and they morphed into the El Rukins, and then the Black Stones went to Cali and put they lick down, and that's how you got the original sets of Bloods and Crips. Really, it was Fred Hampton. It was the leader of the youth organizations, Kwame Ture, Fred Hampton, Jamil out like that was the origination of our national gang chapters. But they got infiltrated by the CIA, the FBI during Cow Intel Pro. And that's where all the banging started. See, the banging started with the cops, not the brothers. It was an infiltration, and the brothers noticed. This is why they still got Mumia Abu Jamal and all them brothers still locked up in cages, and they won't let them out. People know about brothers like Larry Hoover and them, but they didn't. The gang, it was actually a violation to sell drugs inside of the gang structure. We know who really brought the drugs in, so we're not going to
Yeah.
even talk about that.
Yeah, but you have to include it in the history. And if those guys were released and told all those guys the truth, you think they'll cooperate? You think they'll drop all of their beefs just to say, fuck all this, it was all a lie? Because you have to have guys that first have the wherewithal to do that kind of thing. And, I mean, you guys are very knowledgeable on that. So it
Well,
could be a
yeah, because my dad,
possibility.
Kev,
It
my
could not be
dad
a
is a El.
possibility.
Yeah, well, my dad is a El Rukin. That was one of the original. So I grew up in it. Like I grew up. My dad is a El Rukin, and he really laid it down. Like these dudes claiming this shit is really not the game. So when you see these little dudes claiming Crip and claiming Blood and claiming all the sets and claiming, I'm not gonna say they not from that turf. They definitely from that turf, but they not a member of the Crip organization. They're paying homage by calling themselves Crips, but they're not really Crips.
Hey,
Just like the dudes calling themselves Bloods, they're paying homage to the Bloods, but they not really Bloods.
hey G,
You know what I'm
hey
saying? They
G,
don't live by the law.
hey G, check. It's like my city, right? I'm originally from New York, but I first of all I stayed in the Bay Area for 8 years, and now I live in Las Vegas. I have my own condo out here that I bought. I'm a homeowner. But when I was in New York, right? I was in New York in the early 2000s, and that's the whole time when the UBN was out there. The United Blood Nations thing started up out there between them and the Latin Kings, right? Now, a lot of people don't understand the UBN, which really started behind jail in Rikers Island. They were protecting black inmates from Latinos who were attacking them in prison because the Latinos basically had the yard in New York, the Latin Kings and the Yetas. They were attacking black inmates. They were slicing black inmates up just to do it, just because they do it, because they had the numbers. The Bloods basically came and formed their group in behind the walls in prison to protect black people. So it started out as basically a protection system, like with all gangs. We want to protect our people. We want to make sure that our people are okay. As soon as it got outside and a lot of those guys started getting paroled and they started going back to the five boroughs, they started hitting the streets of the Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan. That's when everything started becoming lost in translation. People started getting slashed in New York for no reason. People started getting jumped. Uh, uh, it was just attacking your own people. It became less about protecting the community and protecting ourselves from others, right, non-blacks, to attacking one another and fueling the same rivalries that come from your coast over there on the East Coast. This
Yeah,
type of
yeah,
stuff has to stop.
yeah. And
And
I rock with the UB. I fuck with the UBN brothers too. I know Prince and all them dudes. So you know what I mean. I understand what the
but it's
gangs
lost
have
in
beef on.
translation. But it's lost in translation, and for brothers like Kev that speak from that side of the aisle, they're like, well, why do all of these dudes get all the praise when if you look at what they're doing, they're not protecting. It's not like these guys are there to stand up against um, police when they come out and they try to harm brothers that just walking home from work. Like these guys they have their own agenda in the hood. They have their own thing that they trying to do. They're not really trying to build the hood up. They're not trying to help brothers go to school so they can get better educated. They're not protecting the educated class. Nobody's protecting anybody anymore. It's just everybody for themselves.
Hey,
So all the
Kev.
educated brothers, they feel like they're being bullied and they leave the hood as soon as they turn 18. They go off and whatever.
Okay.
And then these guys stay in the hood and continue to corrupt and turn out whatever sons and daughters that are left behind. It's like a machine. They just constantly pumping
Okay.
them out every year.
Hey, Kev. Do I have permission to be brutally honest on the Brutally Honest podcast?
Okay, but just let's go. Go ahead. Say what you gotta say.
I agree with you, Mike, and I agree with you that a lot of them dudes got out of control. And honestly, It started when the brothers with the education and the knowledge left the community because there was nobody else to fight against them. We had, as we talk about criminal elements and stuff like this, there has to be a group of people that's willing to meet fire with fire. If everybody's going to run and leave, of course the community is going to devolve. Now, I'm not blaming no brother for leaving and making a better life for himself, but you cannot, I'm not going to say you, I'm going to say a person cannot have a position against the violence and the gangs, and we're not willing to stand up to the gangs and the violence privately. You get what I'm saying? You have to privately stand against those things. It takes groups of men with fortitude because those dudes have fortitude. Them dudes have a willingness to do something, and they're fortified in that battle together. So if we're worried about these so-called, I'm not worried about the streets and the communities because I don't feel like I have an interest there. So I wouldn't stand on those streets and battle and fight them dudes over them corners. But they have a vested interest in being on those corners. So we can't complain about what it does, and we're not willing to go stand on the corner. That's my perspective on it. That's why I say if the men with honor turn their honor away from what they say they care about, is there any honor for real? If you run away to the suburbs after you start making 70,000, 60,000, like I don't have to deal with this no more. Instead of recruiting other men, like, look, we can go holler at these little dudes. These are little cousins. These are little brothers. These are sons, our nephews, our homeboys. You know what I'm saying? And if they want to shoot the fade, let's down the street and shoot the fade. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I feel like is missing in our community. I feel like a lot of us need to go back and take it from them dudes because we can't do nothing against the gang violence if we all live in the suburbs. And them dudes live down there in the hood constantly. They're there every day. They know the streets. They know the territory. They know how to move through it. They're willing to do things that a person that has something to lose because he values what he has to lose more than he values. Like I don't know. I can't put it into words. So you know what I mean, bro. I agree with you though, Mike. We need to do something about it. But if we not willing to go down there, the police not gonna do nothing about it because it keeps them employed. They just
Right,
manage it. They just manage it till it don't get out of control. They don't care that the community is a failure. They still gonna get their
right.
pension, their salary, and retire and bring their nephew right on the force with them.
And I hear you. I wasn't trying to sound too overly critical. It's just that again, when you study other, whether you want to call them street organizations of other races, they usually, especially now with all the sectarianism that's going on in America, like everybody is clicking up with their own race right now because they know it's in the air. They know it's like a race war coming. So the Mexicans are sticking with the Mexicans. The Asians are sticking with the Asians. The whites are sticking with the whites. We the only ones, and I'm not just talking about from a gang perspective or street perspective. We are the ones that's trying to still be all inclusive, trying to get white people to like us, trying to get everyone to like us. Like we got to get over that.
Hmm.
We really
Well,
got to get over that, dude.
what
Like,
Now,
this
now
the
let's.
thing.
Let me speak for a second. Let me speak for a second. We got to get out this thing that the only framing I was trying to create was, rejecting people who end up in prison or talk about the devastating effects of street culture. Now, if we want to say that, hey, you know what, we got all these cultures and, that we got all these cultures that have every bad element about them and they're just glorified and that's just the way it is, you're going to have to explain to these mothers who lost their kids what the fuck that's all about. But, let's say, I wouldn't say at this point what you're talking about, G, would have been great about 15, 20 years ago. It would have been great about 15, 20 years ago, standing on street corners or whatever. But I hear so many horrible stories of people to the point is, can you really blame guys who left the community just to live a common sense lifestyle? Guys like me tried. I'll tell you that I tried to the top of the fucking mountain to, to go into neighborhoods in my younger life and try to get black men to do better. Just say, hey, you know what? This is not a great lifestyle for you. But one of the major problems I had is I couldn't identify with those guys. And I got rejected immediately as someone who did not know the lifestyle. You don't know what I'm going through, man. So I can't just completely just say, hey, you know what? I can't discount that part and say I have to go in because I've been in there. I've been in there. But mostly I will hear like, you talk like a white boy, you are a Poindexter, what are you doing here? You don't belong here. Social I was to them, I was socially inept. So,
Yeah.
but see, the thing is, though, people will blame me instead of them for me being socially inept to whatever the fuck they're doing. Now, I'm not judging anyone. What I'm saying is, yes, there should be there should be ways to uplift our people, but I don't want anybody to put themselves in any mortal danger for this because we've had years and years and years and years to do it, and we
No,
ignored it for
and I
so
agree.
long.
And I agree with you, Kev. And I'm from the hood. I would never call you socially inept. I just know that you got a very advanced vocabulary. You articulate. You know how to express yourself without having to use slang or cursing. And a lot of people don't understand that because a lot of people aren't open minded. And we got to remember, we dealing with these little dudes in the hood. I'm a little dude from the hood. Until I started reading books and then became an extensive reader, I had a very limited vocabulary. A lot of them little dudes have never been exposed, and I'm not blaming nobody for leaving. Once again, I don't ever want it to make it seem like that. I'm not blaming nobody for none of that. Everybody has a right to live their life as they see fit.
No, but
But
I agree with you. We do have to work on our unity, though. We do. I
well,
agree
we
with
have to
that.
work on our self governance. See, every this is what we always miss. Every successful group self governs themselves. We don't look every successful group doesn't look to the cops to self govern them. They don't look to the government to create structure. They don't look outside of their own group for some type of structure. If the most intelligent of us and the most able and intellectually apt people in our group leave the group to go live in the suburbs and give all their intellectual property and wealth to another group of people, that our group will forever remain in that because the percentage that can make it out, if they're not if we're not following the intelligent and the capable, the uncapable is going to rule. The people that are not capable and the dummies is going to be the blind leading the blind in the majority. So if we understand that, you know, those of us, it's a small percentage of us who make it to the point where we're even 35 years old. We're facing those type of numbers, and if men like you, man like Mike, this brother done came, he done bought himself a condo. He obviously understands something about financials and finance and employment and stuff, where he's able to build himself to that level where he could buy a loft. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us have never achieved that goal. We need to be honoring brothers like that and lifting the brothers up. Like, hey man, holler at Kev. He's a smart man. Holler at Mike. Mike know how to do this.
Hey, but let me stop you right there real quick. Uh, Everybody really has strengths that are can be beneficial. It's just that we got to be open to accept those. That everybody has some strengths. Now there are some people that are beyond hope. There are. Some are guys, some are women. They are going to choose a mentality that is a lesser. And what's going to have to happen with these people is they're going to have to choose a greater mentality or get left behind. I do agree with the self-governance thing, but at the same time, we have to have an extended campaign of, okay, you belong because obviously you were born, you were put here, and there is no one that should shun you out of the group unless there is a greater offense. There's no we should do that, but if you have a person that constantly rejects peace and constantly rejects the notion of okay, you belong here, I belong here. Let's not make it difficult for each other. At least if you got somebody that rejects that, then what exactly do we do? I get it. I'm not trying to, like, and earlier I wasn't trying to put down hood people. I wasn't trying to do that. I'm going to sound like kind of a prick when I say that some of my best friends are hood people. I mean, I mean, I've met cool guys of all archetypes that were black. But one thing that I understand and that worked for me is I was always a very peaceful guy that always tried to influence things that help the greater good. I never tried to adopt that lifestyle. So, I mean, whatever situation that anyone was put in, I'm not judging you. What I'm saying is that the negative effects that a lot of the things can have were probably beyond necessary.
Oh no, no,
And
and I understand where you're coming from, and that's why I don't think none of us are judging. I'm just giving my perspective on. Okay, there's a small percentage of us that's engaged in criminality. A small percentage of us are engaged in that. That's not a majority of us. We're gonna say, give or take, it's 10% of our population are engaged in that stuff. So if we say the 10%, and there's 90% of us who trying to be law-abiding citizens, achieve some form of stability, financial power, resource, if we're trying to do this, how is it possible for the 10% to be so totally radical that it bucks what the 90% wants?
because it is an image that is pushed.
No, no, no,
It-
no. That's what we talk about imagery and all this stuff. It's like
image perception reality.
image perception reality. So this if we understand that a majority of us are not criminals, we understand this and we know this. Everybody knows this.
I
Why
mean,
would we? This is why I say we have to leave that narrative behind. Because why would we even be worried about them if we're not them? So with this like, I don't know. I struggle with this type of stuff, Kev, because I'll be like, I don't believe there is a black community. I don't see one. I don't know where one exists at.
there is no community
So
because there is no community because the civil war between our educated sector and our street sector is roaring at an all-time high. And I truly believe, brother, you had an uncle or father who was at the El Rugans. Now, you know just as well as I know that not everybody in the gang was a trigger man. You had educated brothers who were in some of these organizations back in the early 1960s. And it wasn't always about who could pull a trigger. It wasn't always about going out there and threatening somebody. You had brothers in Chicago who were actually showing brothers job training
oh yeah, yeah,
skills.
the El
How
Rucas,
to
we had doctors,
right,
lawyers,
right.
pharmacists,
We're
real
missing that.
estate construction workers, carpenters,
We're
as
missing
well as
that.
some brothers that was in the streets.
We're missing that now, man. These brothers now in these organizations today, they don't have anywhere near the skill set level as the brothers back in the 1960s and 70s and stuff like that. A lot of them gang members had legal jobs. They had legal trades. They weren't just out there in the
Yeah.
streets
Most gang
selling
members
dope.
now have yeah, most gang members now have legal jobs.
I would beg to differ. I think a lot of them are street, and then you have the ones that are wannabes. And the fact is that you know we need the educated sector in the street sector to call a truce. We got too many brothers trying to be hard. You got too many brothers that they don't fit in, so they run away, and then the white community recruits them and uses their skills. It's a problem. This is why we always finish in last because every time we try to acquire those individuals in our community that we need to push us forward or to give us that step up, they're leaving the community.
You know what? G said that earlier. that the guys that are leaving the community is making the community weaker. But what
They
in,
are.
but what incentives that you believe that they possibly have to stay, and you guys both just stated that there is no black community. So what is the incentive? I mean,
Well,
they're our people. I acknowledge they're our people. You know, and we as black men, we have to pull up each other. We have to uplift each other. We have to look out for each other. But I mean, just like I said, with that being said, how?
I mean, then
I,
I mean, I tell you real truth, real quick.
Yeah.
They ain't gonna have no choice in a minute because, like I said earlier, uh, America is becoming very sectarian. Everybody is sticking with themselves, man. The economics is directly connected to race in America. Everybody got their own except us. So by the time they finish gentrifying all these communities, getting our black asses out of there, excuse my French, you can't divest anymore. How you gonna divest if the economics is connected to race? The ideology is connected to race. You can't mesh into there anymore. You can't go over there and try to be all inclusive anymore. That whole rainbow coalition that the left has sold to black people is a lie. I'm sorry. It's not gonna be like that, yo. They know that you're black. They hate you. Every time you try to come to the Capitol building to talk about reparations, they overlook you. They act like you don't exist. They only use you for your votes.
Yeah, I totally agree with that because there have been pieces of legislation trying for other groups as soon as that guy, our president, became president.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, he fucking shit up, and but you know what? I'm happy people get to see that. I'm happy that people. I'm happy, not even people. I'm happy that the brothers finally recognize, because the first and foremost, I'm one of them dudes. I don't agree. I don't believe we have to say shit to the women. You know, like honestly, I understand we speak on our experiences with the women and shit, but honestly, we're the men. Like they can't do nothing without us. If they could do something without us, this last 60, 70 years where they've been getting these incentives, they would have built some type of community and they haven't. So we know that no matter what they get, that's a pointless discussion because they're female. They're
Well,
women.
I will say something to push back on that, and it's the only thing I would say. They are the nurturers of our children. If you have kids, you're gonna have to communicate them with some kind of way. I'm not saying, and I've stated this several times the past few broadcasts, that you have to worry about a kid that is not your own. But you can't. The kids are our nurturers. We know a lot of these guys are trained drones for the good. Oh God, gynocracy. We know they're trained drones for the gynocracy, and then they're part of what's pulling this whole thing down. My thing is, I just would like for us to adopt some common sense practices to not be as counterproductive as to let these things affect us. The whole thing is we cannot get ourselves caught up in believing that all these brothers in this space only talk about women. You're gonna
No,
have
no,
to.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying this, as in our relationship to our women, right?
Oh yeah, I got you.
This is
We
this is
we are
this
the
is what I
rulers.
say. This
We
is
are.
what I say.
Yeah.
If there's no woman that can make me personally, me, do something that I don't want to do. Men be like women have power. I'll be like, where? Where do they have
Pussy,
power?
pussy. A lot of these guys put pussy at the top of the list. Like seriously, man. It's like imagine this. Who do people generally respect? A guy that
Oh,
fucks a lot of women, or
see,
a guy
look,
that
look,
doesn't give any pussy?
look at the dude in the cover. He says they have the backing of the government. The backing of the government to do what? Start a bunch of nail salons?
Well, they have a bunch of, they have leverage as far as the law is concerned, and that's why brothers have to make an
They
extra
have
special
leverage.
effort.
They have
They have to
leverage
make
in what, Kev?
they
What
have
do
to
they have
make a
leverage in?
no. I'm just saying, brothers got to make a special effort. They have to make a special effort to keep their noses clean because it's ill advised that they do things that make kids out of wedlock. Because the second she decides, hey, your life is over for 18 fucking years, you better keep up with those payments. Period. Why can't she be held accountable for the birth of a child as well? It could be an even thing. Make sure if they're not married, make sure both of them are paying some on child support. It doesn't have to all be on him, but at the same time, brothers need to keep their nose clean and not do stupid shit like that. We pay for the shit that we get ourselves into as far as this government is concerned. We got to get brothers to be smarter. Yes, we cannot discount the fact that they do have advantages that exist, but it's been like that for so long. Brothers ought to be smarter than what they complain about. So I
Listen,
do agree with that.
I've heard a lot of talking, and stuff. I think, dude, like the only time she has control over you is when you have a child by her. And then she doesn't even have control over you. Then she could elicit some
Yeah,
form of
yeah,
financial payment from you. That's
yeah. Like
true.
alimony,
Yeah,
alimony.
that's true.
Yeah.
If you married her, if you legally went in the court of law and married her, yeah, she could get some alimony from you. But I'm saying, if you're the average male, the average brother in society, what control does a woman really have over you?
Granted that you haven't done anything to impact her life, like with the things that you said with marriage and children and such. You basically almost have to stay away from them bitches that I have any for them not have any
I
kind of control
mean,
over you.
I
I
mean,
mean, seriously, because a woman can lie on you and just is that's it. That's the one thing that a lot of these people leave out of these kind of talking points. A woman can lie on you and say that you did something you could be completely innocent, but in the eyes of society, and depending on how egregious the lie is, that brother's life can be completely ruined. Like go around and start saying shit about her. They'll call you a woman hater. But they do have that leverage. We cannot act like this stuff doesn't exist.
no, listen, I know, listen, I know this. I know that they can say stuff and do, but I'm asking, what true power do they have over you? For example, if you've never talked to this woman and you've never did nothing, like what could she do against you?
Yeah, I said that if
I'm
you've
pretty
never
sure you make more money than damn near every woman you've ever dealt with.
well, maybe not in a couple cases. I
No,
mean,
no,
thanks for giving me
this
such a
is
high status. But you do, man. I've talked to women. Some made more, some made less. I mean, shit, in that day. But dude, it's not like if you don't allow them to have direct power over you, as in like controlling your destiny, no, they don't have any power. But if you are
the
going to deal
issue.
with women, is you have to be extra cautious, especially in 2021 as a man. Period.
No, most definitely. Listen, I've always the brothers. I see they think I'm slow, like I don't know what I'm speaking on.
Hey, hey,
I'm
please, hey,
speaking
hey, and
on.
also, please try not to go at the panelists. Just be a little bit respectful.
No,
We
no,
all
no, no.
we're,
I know. I
we
hear
all
them
have our
talking.
opinions, and then people done got spicy with me in them comments. Not spicy, but they've said stuff in disagreement. Doesn't happen very often, but saying people slow, yeah, that's
Man, listen.
not cool.
No,
I don't like being
no.
called
Listen,
slow.
Ken.
Go
That
ahead.
don't bother me at all, man. I
Okay.
know exactly what I'm talking about.
All
I
right. Well,
know
have at it,
exactly where I'm
chat.
coming from. I know the
Okay.
laws, and I know every. Listen, man. The problem with dudes dealing with these women is these niggas. I'm not even gonna talk like a hood dude. I'm gonna keep it professional.
Talk how you want. You're brutally honest here.
Well, listen, man. The issue is these niggas is simps. These niggas is blue pill. They worship women and they cry when women leave them and shit. If you, man, I'm guarantee you, man. I've seen it. I'm from the hood. I've watched niggas tell women to their face, "Fuck you and them kids," and that bitch break down crying because there's nothing she could do. See, listen, man, you give the control to her by
Yeah.
caring about that type of shit. You got to
Yeah.
remember, you ever seen like European aristocracy and heritage and shit? Do you know
Yeah.
that them kings and them princes and dukes, they had kids and shit everywhere? There was laws making them pay alimony and all that shit. But guess what? They didn't give a fuck. Even when you deal with Mexicans and Europeans and Asians, they will cut people out of their inheritances and shit quick. As brothers, I feel like that's one of the
Hey, hold
issues
on.
that
Whoa,
we
whoa, whoa, whoa,
have.
whoa, 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 whoa. Hold on. Harambe, yes, you can be brutally honest. I'm not saying that nobody can't be brutally honest in the chat. Okay, now I didn't say that at all. I don't like that's not something I'm trying to deliver. And G said it doesn't bother him at all. So if y'all want that kind of environment, we gonna have that kind of environment. But when somebody is brutally honest with y'all in the chat, don't be timing them out like that. Okay, so if those are the rules that we're going to go by, let's just have that understanding right now. Okay, let's do it brutally honest style. Even if I say some stupid shit that y'all don't agree with, I ain't gonna time you out.
So
Okay, let's do
let's
this.
be honest.
Let's
Okay,
do the thick skin thing. Let's do that. So
yeah.
Harambe, you just made some history here. Thank you, sir. That was an excellent suggestion.
So why aren't Mexicans affected like we're affected? So we'll say this
They
laws
have
apply to
unity.
all women.
They have unity. They have unity, man.
Listen, now listen to what I'm saying.
They can't be
Okay,
bought
I don't even
because
want to talk
they're
about that,
tired.
man.
They're,
I don't even
you
want
got
to
to
talk about
understand
it,
it.
man. This shit is
But you got
funny,
to
bro.
understand it like this, though, G. The Mexican community is owned by Mexicans. So how's the government going to buy them out? They can't buy them out, man. That store down the street
It's,
that same Mexican woman gets her formula milk from is owned by Felipe. She can't say shit. She got to buy that formula milk. The same car that breaks down. Guess what? She taking it to the Mexican mechanic. Why? Because the Mexican mechanic speaks Spanish and speaks her language. These other mechanics at Pet Boys, they can't understand her. Their culture is tied in. They women cannot rebel like that. Our women
listen,
speak English. The primary language still in this country is still English, followed by Spanish second, but it's still English. Our women don't have to be dependent on our men like that because we don't own the land strive. We don't
and
own
listen,
the real
and,
estate around here.
and just like you said, they don't have to be dependent. Let they ass go. Let them
Oh,
go.
I agree with you. I'm just saying, like, you asking, like, how come it doesn't affect other groups? I'm like, yo, how's a Mexican woman gonna go outside her community against her own men? She can't.
You know
She
why she?
can't.
But
She
listen,
she stays she
she
stays
cannot
there.
do it because the men will excommunicate her from the. Listen,
Not
that
just that,
do
her
you understand what
culture.
I'm saying with that?
It's
We're
not just
talking
that
about culture, not ownership. We're talking about
the
culture. Them people
but
got here 20 years ago not owning shit.
brother, it's not just that the men will excommunicate her. Her culture, her economics, her sociality, all of that is tied in. She's gonna lose her culture. She's gonna lose her men, her money, her protection. All of that she's gonna lose if she goes outside of her community. Because
Oh,
first of all, anybody outside the community, unless they speak Spanish, they're not gonna understand her. I know. I'm right here in Vegas, bro. I see it all the time. I work in customer service, and if a Mexican customer comes up to me, but if one of my coworkers are Spanish, they will speak to the Spanish coworker. They will totally ignore me. I'll say, "How can I help you?" and all that, but they will go to the Spanish coworker and speak to them. Why? Because they speak their language. There's a connection there. They depend on their people. They lean on their people. They lean on their culture because their culture protects them and puts money in their pockets. Our culture does not protect us and does not put money in our pockets. We don't own anything. We don't own the rap community. We don't own the NBA. We don't own the NFL. We don't own stand-up comedy.
what does any of the, listen? That is
We just don't own it.
entertainment. That's entertainment.
Okay,
That
but we started
NFL,
hip
the
hop though. We should
NBA,
own that.
comedy, hip hop, all of that shit is entertainment.
Brother, but
It
we should
has
own that bit. Listen, with the exception of with the exception of the sports,
a
I'll give you
community. A
sports.
community is not controlled by entertainment.
No, but every community has its own market that they've capitalized off of and used it to feed the community,
But
bro.
the
The
mark,
Asians have
the
it,
Funny you
the
said.
NFL.
Mexicans have it.
Look, the NFL, the NBA. You're being signed to That is not our culture or
I
our
I
market.
said, okay, I retract the sports, but hip hop is no excuse because hip hop is truly a foundational black thing that we created, and we should own that. We messed up because we allowed ourselves to be bought out by other groups like the Jews and other people. They came in and now they actually own the
But
music
no,
that we
they own
produce.
it.
We
They
should
own
own the
it
music business,
because them
Hey,
period.
niggas sold
man,
out.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? You know what? You know what? Let me bring this up real quick since y'all bringing up the music industry. And Mike said something about comedy as well. Chris Rock got like Chris Rock. He was discovered by two white women who ran a comedy club to where a lot of the big comics came through. So he's right on that. So also you had two incidences where black men have tried to start distribution and either it broke down and okay, Sam Cooke. Sam Cooke was trying to get distribution for our people, and you know what happened to Sam Cooke. Then you had the thing where you had the four producers: Suge Knight, Jay Prince, Irv Gotti, and who's the other one? Who's the other one? I'm trying to think who's trying. Suge Knight. It was
Yeah, we know what you
Puffy.
talk about. I know what you talk about.
yeah, and there was this rumor. I don't know how true it is. I'll go ahead and admit that other people have their ears to the street better than me. That 50 Cent snitched the guys out. So all of like I wish I could think of who the third guy was. I mean the fourth guy was,
Was
but
it Dame Dash?
yes, Dame Dash,
Yeah.
Dame
Dame
Dash.
told that story. Yeah, I know that. This is what I'm saying. That shit is entertainment. That was not going to change or build no communities. That okay. I have this issue with us as a people that we put so much onus on fucking entertainers and entertainment.
Because that's
But it's still an industry. It still brings in the millions of dollars, man.
No,
That's money,
it
bro.
brings in millions of dollars because they getting distributed by big white distributors that can
We
set them
don't
up
need them
shows
to
in Europe
distribute
and
anymore.
South America
Listen,
and
brother,
okay.
the music industry has changed. We don't
yeah,
sign
that shit.
360 deals no more. We don't need white people no more to control our music and
Yeah, we don't sell things out the back of our trunk anymore.
we're
We got
It's
streaming
actively giving
service.
music.
we are
It's
act
music.
brother, but it still makes money. It's still a way to generate wealth for yourself, man.
Okay,
And
man.
anytime
So the
anything
music
that you
industry
have,
is going to
hope
revolutionize and save the black
hope
community. And
brother, it
Okay,
could have.
G,
It could have.
hey G. Let me put you like this. What industry that black people are ahead in that is right under the entertainment industry?
we're not ahead in the entertainment industry.
Okay, what
Yes, we
industry are
are.
we? What industry? Everybody want. Okay, let me put you like this. Let me give you this. Everybody want to be a nigga, but don't nobody want to be a nigga. We shape everything. We shape everything. We are the cash cow for everyone. So, what like just like the NBA? Most of those guys are black. What if all black guys left the NBA? That shit would not do anything.
Okay,
Like
what if
what
all
we're
white
talking
women
about.
go to
Well, no, I mean, not of course. Realistically, that's not gonna happen. Realistically speaking, you got niggas like Randy Moss crying over John Gruden, like on national television. You got that. Realistically, that's not gonna happen. But those guys, those entertainers, those athletes contributed very greatly to shaping our culture. So it is prevalent, it is prominent, and it does count. But what I'm asking you, G, is if not that, what is?
I'm gonna just say this, man. I know way more brothers that's talented in carpentry, mechanics, skilled trade, and labor, but we don't put an onus on people to learn these things. Niggas want to be in the NBA. Niggas want to be a rap star. Man, those
I,
That's
are
my
listen,
point.
listen what I'm saying. That is entertainment. That
You're missing
controls
the
none of
point.
society, dude.
You're missing the
That's they're
point, brother.
nobody. They're not building bridges and complexes and super
Brother.
resorts. They're not
No,
building
no, no,
none of
no,
that.
no. You're missing the
They're
point.
not harnessing aquifers or none of this shit. And
And
it's an
and guess
onus on
what?
our kids where half the people you I'm gonna be a rapper. Nigga, you
But check
36.
this out though. Check this out though. That Jewish exec that owns half of Cash Money Records or whatever, he's putting his kids through college with that money. He's having them go to carpentry school with that money that he's making off of you niggers in the hood. You got to look at it like that. It's still money. We should be the execs at these big record labels. We should be the ones calling the shots in the music industry. We are the musical talent. White people are not the musical talent of this country on any level. And I'm talking not just hip hop. I'm talking about music, period. American music, period. Jazz. Uh, uh, I mean, you name it. We started rock and roll, the
Bro,
blues,
we're talking about
hip
music.
hop.
Hey,
Even
let me,
disco goes back to black people. Black people were the
that
first ones to make disco music, not
that
white folks.
that is an industry that has generated billions and billions and billions of dollars,
Billions.
billions. And I mean, and it's because we added our flavor to that shit. And I get it, and I understand. But hey, we've been getting a raw deal on that for a long, long time. Let me read this super chat by Sunny's Hot Raw, and then I'm gonna let Donnie chime in. My habitual line stepper brother who's over there on YAS4W. Sun is hot raw. Another factor. Let's say that we do own something, we don't support it. Case study: Jay Z owned the title streaming service, and when he launched it, black people immediately rebelled against it. Now, Jay Z, they have a lot of stake in it in present day. Is Jay Z, Beyonce, Rihanna, and the Madonna has some stake in it too. So yeah, they still got stake in it. But when Jay Z first came with title, uh, a lot of people, until it really caught fire, a lot of people weren't signing up for it. They weren't. I mean, Jay Z even released a statement. See, y'all will support things like like racist YouTube or so. Like he actually said this, racist YouTube, but y'all won't support a streaming service owned by a black man. But I will say this: it did come out that most like 90-95% of the staffing for the title streaming service was non-black. Now, uh, was this a case of Jay Z not going to seek out black talent, or he just gave the jobs to the more qualified individuals? And if he had done that, maybe uh, title wouldn't be. It could either be a greater streaming service because you don't count our people out, but maybe he just didn't find that many qualified individuals that was black. So, yeah, title went through a lot of growing pains before it became what it is today. So, thank you for the super chat and your support. All right, Donnie, what's going on?
What up?
What's going on?
How y'all living? Long live the habitual lines of the. I'm really
Long
just stepping into
live.
this conversation, so I really don't know what the basis is, how we got to this point, or anything.
Well, the general thing is, thank you, black people. R.I.P. Good black man. I really try to drive the point that our good black man image is, being destroyed by the culture itself through many bad, harmful, toxic narratives. And this conversation just it went in one direction and it went another direction, but it stays true to the theme itself. We, G and Mike and myself, we were just, you know, Mike was saying, Mike just said that, that he was giving examples of prosperous industries, like, and they were all surrounded by entertainment and mainstream. And G was basically saying that this is not it. This is not what defines us. And that we're defined by more than that. We have many skills and talent that are not with these things. My point was they do count because they're very prevalent, and these people made money, billions of dollars off of our talent. And my thing is, with mainstream media and mainstream culture and entertainment, it really shaped the culture, and we really, as a people, pulled a lot of negative things from that and made it cool. G made the point that said that, hey, you know what? Our cult look that there's other cultures that have their bad people that are accepted. Like white people got the mob and the mafia. Asian people got the yakuza. Middle Eastern people got the Taliban. Shit like that. And then we got into.
Taliban.
You know, no, I threw in the Taliban. So, but these are just examples. I mean, it's just like I was making a point of how we accept the once again, coming around to accepting the worst versions of ourselves, and we should act with more common sense. So, I mean, it's just, yeah, it's a lot of stuff. I know that was a little convoluted explanation, but that's pretty
Well,
much where we are. But
Automatically, what I get, and I really hate to do this, is I hate to jump into the gynocracy talking point, but automatically when I think of that, you have other groups that have these strong male dynamics, and they're actually out getting shit done. um, white cultures, they have all these groups that are pushing and moving. Our culture is largely female led, so we are getting destroyed from the inside out. We have the Nation of Islam. Granted, that's a religious group, but those are some strong black brothers who are very, very, very much talented. Right? Those brothers know everything. You have Rizza Islam. He get up on TV. He'll tell you all about the vaccines, X, Y, Z down the line. Right? But that's not something that's pushed because it's considered a controlling narrative in terms of black women. They can't go out, wear purple wigs, and run around and have a whole bunch of babies by niggas and be in the Nation of Islam. So yeah, I see and I understand kind of where you're getting at. We would have a stronger black male dynamic if we weren't poisoned from the inside out. That's just how I see it, and just being brutally honest. Shit,
And I
our
agree with
culture.
you, Donnie. I agree with you. And part of our poisoning is this damn entertainment situation. I look at the brothers with all of our talents, and then I look down, and 60% of the men want to be fucking entertainers. Like, how are we going to get somewhere
What
with a
else
group
do
of
we
men
see?
who want to sing and dance for money?
What else do we see as a narrative? See, culture is largely driven by the women. If you have a job as a plumber, you're looked down upon. Although a plumber can make $150,000 a year, $200,000 a year, depending on where he live at, what he's doing, how he's pushing, HVAC, being a mechanic, you can make plenty of money in a blue collar job, but it's spit upon, right? What
Most
do these
definitely.
women want?
And even
What
and
are the
even when we go to the barbershops, Donnie, like I'm a tradesman. I have two. I'm a brick mason and I have a CDL. So
okay?
I can operate a crane, a tractor, a bobcat, and I also drive semi trucks. And I went to Job Corps when I was 17 and became a brick mason.
Right.
So when I even try to bring up this discussion amongst the brothers, we be like, yeah, man, this business that we could. These niggas want to go to talk about rap.
Well, I
I'm
mean,
like, damn, all you niggas is 40-year-old want to be entertainers. Like,
let's look at
all
it
you
like
niggas
this.
want to sing and dance for money.
He was
Who if the motivation at the end of the day is to get a woman who looks a certain way, to have fancy cars, XYZ, who do you automatically see based on the media, based on what you see on TV, XYZ, having that? You have the ball
Yeah.
players, you have the entertainers, etc. Brittany Renner is not out here fucking. She's not fucking a brick mason. It's not happening. You could have your own company running the entire South, just doing it. Big HVAC companies out here making money. You think Brittany Renner's laying up with that nigga? No.
Nigga, who
Mm-mm.
give a fuck about an internet prostitute?
no, no,
Right.
no. What he's trying to say is like pussy is what motivates a lot of these guys. You know,
Right. So if you're looking for that type of woman is not interested in you because you're not getting the likes and the followers that she's getting hanging out with. I don't know who Brittany Renner's even fucking, but any of them niggas, right? So the niggas switch from being something that could really is a humble situation, making some legitimate money, taking care of their family and pushing the black economy along. Instead, they go play basketball. They go play football. And as we learned from that documentary, the ESPN documentary, most of these ball players go broke after they
Yeah,
leave
like
the league.
85 to 90% of them dudes is broke after they leave the leagues.
But
shit.
they
Vince Young got broke during his career, like in the
But,
beginning.
but this is what
Like
I'm
right.
saying.
they're
We
broke.
encourage this shit on such a man. You could go to every major black mecca: Dallas, Houston, L.A., Miami, New York, freaking Cleveland, Cincinnati, Saint like we're pushing our boys into this. I play football, man. You could be a rap star. You're gonna be in the
Mhm.
NBA. And I'm like, damn, ain't none of us sitting here telling the brothers, the young brothers, we getting them into the
Be-
future business leaders of America, the future
because
farmers of America.
because
Niggas want to
traditionally
be entertainers, man, and
because
it's just
traditionally
this
we
thing in
have
our community
capitalized
where
off those
people think
industries.
entertain. Oh, my fault, Mike. My fault, Mike. Go ahead, bro.
No, I'm saying I hear you, brother, but I'm saying traditionally we have capitalized off those industries. Every race has a certain
Traditionally, we
industry.
have been taken
Hold,
advantage of in those industries.
and we've
We
been
haven't
taking advantage,
capitalized.
brother. Let me finish it out for you so you can understand. We're taken advantage of because we're not trying to be the owners of our own industry, bro. We're not
Mm.
trying to be the executives in the executive seat. The money, see, the money is not. You start off as the artist, right? You put out a couple of hits for a couple of years, and then you gradually died out. That's every music business person, right? But where the money comes in is when you start becoming the A&Rs, the executives,
Man,
the
but that's
record.
only, listen, how
We
big
are
is the
not in those positions, though, brother.
excuse
We are
me,
not
Mike,
the
how
guys at the
big is the
top. Like,
entertainment industry?
very big. It's $1 billion industry. That's what I'm trying
Okay,
to tell
now, no,
you,
no,
bro.
no, no. Okay, let's go to that. Let's go to the billion-dollar industry. Do you know how much money they sell in roofing materials every year? Do you know how
And,
much?
and
Do you know how many billions of dollars is generating fixing roofs every year?
so
Brother, you're
I
trying to.
see
Okay,
both.
wait. You're
I,
trying to compare occupations instead of looking at it all makes money. I'm not doing
I,
that, brother.
I,
It
No, I'm
all
I see
makes
comparing
both
money.
sides of this
occupations because
conversation,
if you
right?
have 60% of your youth trying to be freaking singers and dancers for money,
They're inspired
and
by
you
that,
got
brother,
people,
because we've been in that, because they've seen successful black people
but
in that industry.
it's a false success. If you're distributed by Sony, Universal, Viacom, what type of success do you really have? The
Well,
only
brother,
two
you got to look at
independent,
it like
really
this.
rich black males is
You,
Kanye West and Jay Z.
you gotta, to be
Okay.
fair, you gotta look at it from the situation of which is easier, me making a rap song that's 3 minutes long,
Okay.
All
or
right.
me
So
going to
Okay.
fellas,
college
hold
with
on. So
Okay.
I see both sides of this conversation, right? So let's look at it from a way back perspective, right? Sam Cooke was a black man who owned his own masters, right? He was a powerful man in the industry. Prince owned his own masters. When that whole shit went left, what did he do? He changed his name to the artist formerly known as Prince, right? And I remember watching an interview where Nas was talking, and Nas said he was trying to do a song with Prince, and Prince was like, "Yeah, we can get that popping. Do you own your own masters?" Nas was like, "Well, no, yeah, I'm not finna work with you." Now that's a dynamic of a black man who owns his masters, whose music is his. He's got all the power that comes with that, right? And he's making money off that. If that shit get played in the elevator, that nigga's making money off of it. But it's all too common that black people are out here being the workhorse, and white people are taking advantage of that. That's how it's always been, especially in the music industry. Remember, Motown and all the motherfuckers was out there singing, and what was happening? They was coming back. They was making these white folks a whole bunch of money, and instead of them giving them money, they bought a nigga a Cadillac and called it a day.
right.
We don't have the financial wherewithal, even in the entertainment industry, to see that we need to own our own masters and keep our content ours. Instead, what ends up happening is white folks buy it and they profit off of it. This is a prime example of why they hated Michael Jackson so bad. This motherfucker said he was finna go own the Beatles catalog, and he told the motherfucker who owned the Beatles, he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna own your shit one day. I'm gonna own it." And the
Man,
motherfucker laughed at him.
Yup.
man, Michael Jackson was buying up all kinds of white people shit, man. The Elephant
It's a
Man
fact.
bones.
That nigga,
They hated
do
him.
y'all know Michael Jackson? Eminem said some slick shit about Michael Jackson in the song, and Eminem got his catalog bought out by Michael Jackson. Do you
Yup.
understand the level of financial wherewithal that Michael Jackson had? This was a powerful ass nigga. Everybody hated this motherfucker. He was a powerful ass nigga in the music industry. Now that he's gone, where's his shit at? It's scattered
Listen,
amongst the white folks.
Prince
every
too.
year, look, every year, $17 billion change hands to fix roofs. Right. The reason I'm saying this, right, is because I've watched Mexican dudes come over this motherfucker illegally, start fixing roofs. In 2 years, they have a roofing company. They hired three more roofers, and 3 years later, they're making $1 million
Yes, the
fixing
Mexicans
roofs
come over here and do all
while
that shit.
niggas
The
is
problem
talking
is we
about
don't
being
have
rappers.
financial wherewithal. Even if we were to solely be rappers, if people understood what making their own a label was creating their own masters and doing everything else, every black folks would be millionaires regardless of
But
what it is. The
but
issue
listen,
is we don't have financial common sense.
Even with the labels, Donnie, that's not where most of the millionaires in the world is coming from. It's
it's
not
not
fucking
coming
300
from
music millionaires.
it's not coming from most of those places, but the majority of the rich, the top rich black folks who are out here doing it are in professions to where they're working for someone else, right?
There's
And let
more
me
rich black men from trades and skills than there are rich black entertainers.
I will say I don't believe that, and I very much could be wrong, right?
They might be, but the combined wealth of the entertainers is far more exponential.
No, their wealth is fiat. They get a paycheck, and then when they retire, they go broke. What I'm saying, they get
They
a
go
paycheck, and
they go
then when
broke
they
to
done
spending
catching
habits.
the football, when they're
But
done
are
catching that basketball, when they're done doing their entertainment shows for the next 60 years of their life, they slowly spend all their money.
Okay, so let's do this. The majority of the people, let's say on in the $100 million range, would you say that they are people who are athletes, entertainers? Would combine athletes, all that? They're people who are on TV. You see them and you pay to see them and pay to do whatever that they're doing, or are they people who are flipping houses, owning companies, CEOs, CFOs, etc. Which do you think the greater number is?
I didn't hear what you just said.
So, in terms of people on, let's say it's the Forbes list, right? People over $100 million, right? And they're black. Are you going to say that they are more likely to be people who are independently wealthy in terms of creating companies, stock options, etc., or do you feel like there's going to be more entertainers, and that's inclusive of ball
Well,
players,
if you
people
talk
who
about our group, it'll probably be entertainers because Forbes only counts that year. Count
Mm,
that in 10 years, will they still be on the Forbes list? That's the question.
right?
In
well,
20
they can be
years,
The
will
replaced
they
by other
still
reason
be on that
entertainers.
list?
But the
They
reason I'm saying that they're not going to be there after the fact is because their money is finite because they're not investing. There's no financial wherewithal there, right? There's no intelligence in how they spend their money. What are they reinvesting in? Are they buying schools? Are they are buying apartment complexes? What are they doing to diversify? Jay-Z is a prime example. Jay-Z is a nigga from Brooklyn, right? I think Brooklyn anyway. In terms of that, this is a man who went out here and bought houses, bought title,
He even said
he
he made
diversified
a
his portfolio.
majority of his money outside of music.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what they talk. They get all their money from entertainment, and then they invest in other businesses. So
Right,
that's basically what we're talking about. So in that percentage, they're kind of independently wealthy and wealthy from entertainment, if you ask
right.
me.
But these
But
people couldn't have been there without that entertainment money.
correct.
No, no,
Hey,
but
let
the
me.
richest black people in the world that's really in Forbes are there for telecommunications, like construction. They own construction companies, telecommunications companies, insurance companies. They're not the richest black people in the world are not freaking basketball players and rappers.
Okay, so I think one of the richest black men on the list is he owns what's the weather company? I can't think of his name. He was on the Breakfast Club talking about how they were trying to shut down people's
Well, you
rights.
mentioned Byron Allen. That was
Byron.
Byron. Let me read this super chat from Stoic One. He said for the man from Alabama. Appreciate that support. Unless one of you guys are from Alabama, I think he's talking about me, but I get to keep the money anyway. So thank you for your support of the channel. Once again, Stoic One. So go ahead, Donnie.
Yeah. So Byron Allen is a multimillionaire. He is a filthy rich ass black
I
man.
thought he was
Did
a
Byron?
billionaire.
He might be a billionaire. How did Byron Allen make his money?
Owning, he did like he was like a behind the scenes in TV.
Yeah,
Byron Allen
radio
wasn't just behind.
shows and
Yeah, he wasn't
talk
just behind the
shows.
scenes. Byron Allen was actually out there, so he made his money from entertainment. He was able to flip that money into what it is now. This is where I'm going with it. People don't have the wherewithal to keep this money circulating within their household. My grandfather always told me, "You pay yourself first." Most of these motherfuckers don't pay themselves first. What do they go do? They go buy a house, they go buy a gold grill, they go buy a couple of chains, and then their advance is done. Now they're out here scrambling trying to make it work. That's why these motherfuckers can't stay afloat. When you're a person that comes from a blue collar background and you've made it the hard way, that's all you can do. There is no go out here and floss and you still gonna be successful. No, you got to make shit work. So those people have a better business ethic than somebody who went from 0 to 100 and all of a sudden is making money. Niggas don't know how to spend their money. They get talked out of these deals and these contracts. If black men more often than not own their masters, this would be a completely different conversation. But they don't.
And I
I
agree
mean,
with you with
look at
that.
look
Go
at
ahead, Mike. Go
the.
ahead, Mike.
Let me give you an example. Look at the Irish in the police departments, man. The
Ooh.
Irish came in and took over the police departments, particularly on the East Coast. And you know how they did it? They started out as small time officers and they worked themselves up to captain to commissioner. They just kept climbing the ladder. And as they climb the ladder, they just bring their people in one after the other, one after the other. Oh, my dad was a guy. You would be surprised how many Irish Jews I know from New York. They freaking father's a police captain or a lieutenant in the NYPD. Like they just bring them in because they've capitalized the market on law enforcement, particularly in Boston, New York, Philadelphia,
Hmm.
Maryland. They have the market on there. So even though there are black cops, and there might be a couple of black cops in a couple of positions, overall, they're going to be non-white. I mean, excuse me, non-black in the higher positions. So they're going to have more power and say, especially when you talk about the police unions. The police unions are white boy club. I'm just going to keep it 100 with you.
Any union
It,
on the East Coast, because I lived on the East Coast and I currently live back on the West Coast. The union on the East Coast is like the mob. This is the
yes,
only situation that I've ever heard of where motherfuckers can keep a job for 5, 10 years and all of a sudden they're making $100,000, where
decades.
they're guaranteed to get this, or they're guaranteed to get that. Don't nothing move unless the union says so. That is a white dynamic that is powerful than a motherfucker. And if black folks would just get together and start moving like that, it would be game over.
And let me bring it home with this, Donnie, and I'm gonna pass it right back to you. All I was saying with that, now, given the example that we just gave right now with the police and the unions and all of that, and how they came in and to control the police departments of America, we should have did the same thing with the entertainment business. When our people were brought over here, we were made fun of. We were put in a cotton club or whatever. We succeeded in being entertainers. We knew how to sing. We knew how to write music. We knew how to play guitars and stuff like that. There is no way in hell right now in America that we shouldn't be at the top of the music industry, running everything from country to rock and roll. Like if a white artist wants to be signed or do anything, they should have to come through us. That's how it should have been. They should have to go to the black community to even get signed, to even get a deal. And with
But Nick,
that type of power, do you realize with that type of power, G, you can influence the minds because music and media go hand in hand.
Listen,
They
man.
do.
R. Kelly made music for years, and that nigga couldn't read. It
R.
don't matter
Kelly
how
ain't a
good you.
R.
It
Kelly
don't
don't
matter how
own his
good
own
you is
record
at
label. R.
music if
Kelly
you
ain't at
don't
the top, brother. You're using people that
listen.
are not at the top. R. Kelly
Listen, bro.
is a
That's not what
slave
I'm
to his
saying.
own
I'm
masters,
not. That's
brother.
not what I'm saying, bro. I'm saying this. It doesn't matter how good you sing and dance if you're not literate.
All right.
No.
All
But
right,
go
all
ahead.
right. Let me get this for a second. Let me get this for a second. Okay. Direct your attention to the screen. We were talking about rich black folks, and did so. This is a article from Afrotech. So if I can remember, I will put the link in the description once this broadcast is done. Um, but it has a list. Here are the world's black billionaires in 2021. I want y'all to see who's at the top of the list. Okay, let me scroll down. Scroll down. Jay Z, 1.4 billion. Kanye West, 1.8 billion. Tyler Perry, 1 billion. Oprah Winfrey, 2.7 billion entertainers. But you continue, Michael Jordan, 1.6 billion entertainer. Robert Smith, we all know who Robert Smith is. He married a white woman. That guy. Uh, then these guys right here. This, y'all can read those names, but yeah, you see the point. Oh, David Stewart. He sounds American. He's founder and chairman of IT provider Worldwide Technology, the largest black-owned company in America. Is not your typical tech company founder. According to Time, is the background as a salesman and encouragement from his father have both contributed to his entrepreneurial success. Okay, so I mean, I get it. I get it. Yes, there are black people who have done other things. Yeah, but as far as our culture, let's see. This guy's from Nigeria. This guy's from Nigeria.
It was
Uh,
about 4 or 5 of them on there from Nigeria.
yeah, yeah. And if we're talking about ADOS, when it seems that, see, this is African, this is Jamaican Canadian, but when you talk about ADOS, he's Nigerian too. When you talk about ADOS, you talk about like the David Stewart guy, Robert L. Smith, and entertainers and athletes.
So there's them entertainers and athletes right there. You're talking about them specific people.
Well,
This
they'll
is
just I was just pulling up this article. I mean, these
yeah,
are
but
the
no,
these
no,
are
no.
the
But what I want you to see is look at the difference in wealth between the entertainers and the people that are not entertainers.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, even Robert Smith, he's at the top of these people. Uh, but these guys are largely, yeah, the guys from other countries, yeah. And there's definitely like Robert Smith is the only one that really comes close, but this guy right here, the richest black man in the world, like he's like today's Mansa Musa, I guess, but he's Nigerian.
But you got to think a lot of these black folks are in all black countries running this shit. So this is a dynamic of, in a black country doing black business. Okay, that's one thing. Now you're in a predominantly white country that is overtly racist, that has a dynamic of tearing down the black man, keeping you under. I I I
No,
feel like
I'm
with
not
the
knocking that,
exception of
Tommy.
Oprah, yeah, I feel like with the exception
But
of
I'm
Oprah,
saying that,
it
but
it,
Jay
it,
Z
it
and
says a
Kanye
lot
West.
more.
Go ahead, bro. I'm sorry for interrupting you. I
Yeah,
apologize.
but it says a lot more for these men to be in this position than it would be for the Nigerian fellas to be in Nigeria making this money and clocking that kind of change, right? It is a stronger dynamic for a Jay Z to go from, according to him, slanging crack on the block to being on this list.
And what I'm saying is this: I respect the brother's prowess in making money. What I'm saying is that Jay Z and Kanye West didn't make $1 billion from fucking rap. They made $1 billion with things
Hmm?
they did after they
Hold on,
became known for being rappers. So
right?
this is the
But
difference.
they
Kanye
did,
West made
while
his
that
money
is
designing stuff for people. He didn't make
that
that money
that
rapping.
is
His albums didn't sell
very
$1 billion.
That is very much true. That Kanye, Jay Z, they didn't make it. All of them, all of the black people on that list from America that are entertainers. None of them made that money strictly from being entertainers. However, they made that money because they were entertainers.
No, 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 most definitely because they were. But this is what I'm saying. Now go look at you got those people. You got those two, three people, and they made $1 billion. Look at the difference in wealth. If you say this dude made 1 billion, 1.4 billion, and then the next lowest dude made $3.8 billion, it nothing to do with entertainment.
I
You see what
mean,
I'm saying?
again,
This is what I'm speaking on.
you're trying to
Right.
compare Nigerians who own Nigeria
No,
to
it's not about
foundational
the
Black
comparison of
Americans
what
who
they own. It's about if
it,
I'm
it,
saying if I'm saying we have a population of people, right, where 60 to 70% of the youth want to be an entertainer. They don't want to be an engineer, a scientist, a doctor. or anything that really is going to generate a substantial amount of income. Most entertainers won't make no money. Let's
I
just keep it
mean,
100.
brother,
99%, 99% of
you're
entertainers
not
don't make no money.
understanding. They the average foundational Black American child, looking from their community standpoint, they do not see that. So since they don't see Black doctors and lawyers in the community, because let's just be real about it, even though they're there, they move outside the community. Remember, they're not there, so they don't see them. They see the Jay-Z's, they see the Ron Arteshes and the LeBron James. They see them. They do not see the Black doctor and the lawyer and the stuff like that. So traditionally, when you look at our history and culture, we have succeeded in the music business. We have made records. We have gotten rich off of music.
We have
This is why
succeeded
music
in
has
more.
always been a part of our culture.
No, we have
So
succeeded in way
here,
more things than that, bro.
I understand that, but they
Way
don't
more
see it,
things
brother.
than
It's
that.
not. It's not like we have a bunch of Black doctors living in the hood, bro.
No,
It's not.
it's
It's
not
not
about
like
having a
that.
black. Okay, go
It's
ahead,
not
bro. Let me
like that.
finish.
These brothers are
So
gone. They
let's look at it
divested. They gotten out of
from a
there.
so let's look at it from pure numerical standpoint, right? What is the percentage of children born in the Black community without in a fatherless home?
60 to 80%. We know that 60 to 80%. We don't know the exact numbers. It's between
Okay,
60 and 80%.
so you have 60-80% in the Black community. So let's picture a project community, right? A project, the projects, right? So in the projects, inside of that community, you don't have a lot of men. The men that are there, they're not making any money. Janitors, some, they're struggling. There's some addicts. There's some XYZ. In that community, you have a bunch of little boys growing up. Who do they have to look up to, right? This is their dynamic. These are the men that are making money. You have some pimps. You have some motherfuckers slinging dope. You have some motherfuckers out there doing some other no good things. They're making money, so those are some direct relations, right? And then they go into the house and they turn on the TV and they see Kodak Black with a gold grill on, rapping. He ain't saying shit, but he's driving a Lamborghini and a Ferrari, and he's got a bad bitch next to him. Who do you think that they're going to emulate as far as their life choices in terms of what they want to be when they grow up? It's not going to be a plumber. It's not going to be a doctor. It's not going to be a lawyer because they don't have these successful images before them. They exist in the white community because in large numbers there's white folks who are out there doing this and they're out there going. Same thing with the trailer park. In the trailer park, motherfuckers aren't out there saying, well, I want to be a veterinarian. Nobody in the trailer park is a veterinarian making money, right? They're looking at the bad images. So that's even more so in our community. All we have is the entertainers. So that's why you have a large dynamic of kids wanting to grow up and be an entertainer. That's why
No,
you have a large dynamic of mothers sending their kids off to football and basketball camp. Well, you got a little height on you. Go to the coach and hopefully he can take you to the league and you can take me up out of here and we can live like LeBron James and I embarrass you in the future. That's why we
and,
have the community as fucked up as we
and
do.
this is what I'm saying. In this mind state, like the mind state that we have around this entertainment shit. I have like what I cannot fathom. I got homeboys and friends. These niggas is 34 years old talking about they about to pay for a video. So they going to work their jobs where they making good money, $800-900, 1,500 a week, 1,200 a week. They had they good jobs to turn around to try to be a singer and dancer.
Well,
And I'll be like, hey, bro, you know, if you just saved your money in a couple years, you could buy you an apartment complex, bro. Oh man, I'm
but
trying to blow up. Like, man, where did
where do they have this reference to do that?
it's not about the reference, it's about having the intelligence to understand your socioeconomic position.
Right.
I
So
wasted
the,
my whole listen. I wasted my whole youth trying to be this fucking like I wasted my whole youth in that shit, bro. my
Right,
whole youth
but this is
until I
what I'm telling
finally
you.
realized where real money came from.
You're saying
Entertainers don't.
it's not about that reference, but you had to have seen it from somewhere else. It didn't just pop into your mind out of the blue, right? It's like when you see somebody doing something that you've never seen before, and automatically you can pick it up and emulate it because it wasn't really that hard, but it was
No,
something that
you know
just
what
never
happened. You
was
know
thought
what happened. I always seen it, but nobody ever know. Look, this is what happened. I always seen it, but every time I would get around a grown man in the community, these niggas was talking about rappers.
of. So
These
nobody gave
niggas
you
was these niggas was
no.
talking about entertainers and who could catch a fucking football, even though that they were going to work at these factories and some of them were roofers, and it was like
So
everybody was envying shit. See,
So
that's a
you
main thing.
saw it. You saw it. Your mind could not quite grasp it. You probably went back to the other brothers who was like, "Hey, what was this shit?" And motherfuckers couldn't give you an answer. Therefore, you had no reference point, right? And then at some point down the line, you finally built up enough to get the reference point. Oh, okay, this is what they were doing. This is how they did that shit, right?
It wasn't until I came home and I really started working. Like I started seeing, like, okay, the motherfuckers that live over there in the rich community, ain't none of these motherfuckers rappers, man. The people that live in these gated communities, ain't none of these motherfuckers singing and dancing for money. And there was black people, white people, Mexicans, Asians, and all of them owned small little businesses or had good little jobs where they made 80 G's. And it's like we as a culture or as a group of men, I don't know if it's a culture or a group of men, it's like we're obsessed with people who don't have no real skills and are able to survive off of that. If you ask the
It's a
average
cultural
rapper,
thing.
yeah, it's a cultural, it gotta be, and I think that's more harmful to our culture and community than damn near all of it is that a majority of the youth don't want to gain those skills. A
It's
majority of the
It's a
youth want to be
it,
the harm is not in
entertainment.
the harm is not being in the entertainment business. The harm is that we don't own it. We're
Oh,
not
it's
calling
a
the
harm because
shots.
listen, it's a
We're
harm because
not
there's
calling the
20.
shots, brother.
Listen, there's
That's the
20.
harm.
It don't matter if it was. There's not enough room in that industry to employ 20 million men.
I say garbage to that. If we own the music industry, if we were the top major labels in this country, we would own music, period. That means country
We will be
music, that
able to
means
employ
rap.
20 million men
Dude,
from
the
rapping.
music industry, okay, you need the sound
from
guy, you need the guy
entertainment.
that
Yeah.
sets up the text and all. Like that's work, brother. That's also skill. Do you realize
Hold
it
on,
takes skill to
hold on.
set up to
It it,
start up a set and stuff like that, bro?
entertainment is not just rapping. So let's take this down. Let's take it down a notch, right? Entertainment is not just rapping. So from entertainment, we have football, we have basketball, we have all the various sports. So not only the players, you have the owners, you have the managers, uh
Okay.
the, you
Who's
have
going to
the
go out and build the TV network you need to advertise the show? You don't got nobody who know how to do fiber optics, dig trenches. You don't have no engineers to design a grid because everybody wants to sing.
right,
You have to
Brother.
but
design. No,
again,
no. Listen, let's keep it
but
real. The
again,
reason that the end, but listen, Donnie. Let's keep it a buck. The reason that the NFL, the NBA, and shit is so popular and big is because they're on TV. But guess who controls TV? The people who built the grid, man. If you take off that grid, there's no market for the NBA or the NFL or no rapper to sing and dance on. That's why they control the industry because they have the skills to build the grid. They're the engineers. You can't if you want to. Oh man, we're gonna get on TV, nigga. How you gonna get on TV and you don't own a TV network or possess the skills to build a satellite?
I think one complements the other because we're the best entertainers, brother. They're not trying to book freaking
But I'm
Steve
saying
Martin. They're
this: the
trying to book
TV
Richard
and
Pryor.
shit
You
and the
get what I'm saying
radio.
to you?
Okay, you're right. We
but
gonna
even
sing
with
the way our
that,
dance to millionaire, billionaire, trillionaire status.
I mean, think
even
about it,
with that,
brother.
if you run down the line, you have to
If you
get
had a
to that
choice to
stuff.
go, if you had a choice of going to see a stand up with Steve Martin or Richard Pryor, who are you gonna go see a stand
Now,
up of?
I don't care about stand ups. That's not an
But
important
I'm
part of
trying
my
to
life.
prove a point. I'm trying to prove a point. We corner the market on entertainment. The harm is that we don't own the executive branch of that industry. We're not at the top. When
There's
you're
no
at the
okay.
top, you
Even if
call
we,
the shots, brother.
you
That's in
cannot
any
own
industry.
You cannot own the top of the industry if you don't own the skills to build it.
Brother, the
Who would
industry
build
is
the
built off
theaters?
the
Okay,
talent.
let's say
Brother,
we
the
did this.
industry is built
Where
off
will
the
we get?
talent.
Where will we
The
get the
talent
theaters?
is what
No,
you're
it's
is
not.
what you're
No, it's
selling.
not. Where
Yes,
will
it
we get the?
is.
Where will we get the theaters built at?
Brother.
There's
The
Who?
plenty of
no, no,
black
no, no,
owned
no. I'm
theaters.
talking about
Okay,
the
you right.
entertainment industry. You're talking about construction. I'm talking about the entertainers, the people that actually go and perform in the theater. Okay, you could build a theater, but if you ain't got no performers, it's a mute theater. It might
If
as well
the
be a ghost town.
entertainers don't have a
So
building, okay, why do you think people sign to record labels?
people used to sign the record labels for promotion.
Man, people still sign
For
to record
promotion. You
labels.
don't need a
No, they
you don't
sign
need
to
a
record
record,
labels
brother. You
because the
don't need brother. Soldier Boy
okay.
already proved you don't need a record label. Okay,
Who
shout
proved
out to
what?
Soldier Boy.
Not
Who
Soldier
proved
So
what?
Boy.
he did. He proved that you
Man,
don't need a
Soldier Boy
We
record
could have
signed
used.
label.
to
We could have
record
used
You don't
deals.
need
anybody
record
else.
labels. Nobody's signing 360 deals like in the 90s no more, bro.
Man,
That's old
Soldier Boy
news.
signed a deal, man, and he was out of the deal. But he's
Bro,
not
Soldier
okay.
Boy is
You're
an
right.
internet hit. He made all his money off the internet. He was the first rapper that went on YouTube and had all his videos on YouTube. Go study Soldier
Nigga,
Boy,
who
bro.
on
He broke
YouTube?
the internet as far as promoting himself and getting all
Okay,
his cash on the
okay.
internet. He didn't need white people. He didn't.
Yes, he did. He needed YouTube.
He brother, the means to put your record out there is not the issue. The point is that the
It is the
entertainment
issue because
business,
most of these dudes are
the
signing
marketing, which
distribution
is the most
deals.
important part. No, the important part is the marketing, selling yourself. You don't need a white person to do that. You can do that yourself.
I'm not
You
saying
don't
you need a
need them
white
no more.
person to do anything. I'm saying this. The people you see that are successful are because of white people. If they didn't have the white people's radio stations, they
So basically, you're
networks.
saying that black people can't own their own, run their own music company.
No,
That,
I
that they
didn't say
had no
that. I didn't
chance to
say
do.
that. I said you have to build it first.
Brother,
How do
we
you
built
expect
it
to
and then we
own
gave it
something?
to them. That's the problem.
Okay,
That's what
so
I'm trying to tell you.
niggas want to own something that they had no part in building.
We built. So you're saying that we didn't build the music industry?
No, you didn't build the radios that play the music.
Okay,
Brother,
so at this point, the argument devolves further and further down the line. You can talk about Master P and how he sold albums out the trunk of his car, and then go, well, the white man built that car. I'm not understanding where we're going with
No, I'm
this.
not. That's not the same argument. Master P could go be a trunk car radio salesman. He didn't make all that money till he signed that deal. That's the point. He made $1 million,
brother,
but he'll tell
the
you
radio,
he
the
didn't
radio was
extend that
built so
money
that
until
people
he
can
got
hear
that
the
distribution
artists.
deal. Okay, so listen to what you're saying. If you're a person over here in this group, they built the telephone lines that communicate. They built the satellites where you hear the shit. You couldn't hear the entertainers without the distribution network.
Okay,
That's
but
why
the
they're signing
entertainer has
deals.
always been
You
around.
I ain't
there's
That's
a
smoked
the
there's
enough
a
weed for
hundred
brother,
this
million
tonight.
there's 100 million motherfucking rappers on YouTube.
brother. Which came first, music or the radio?
I
Yeah.
Music was around before the radio. I think you're missing my point. Music
Y'all
is
right.
in our soul.
I
Music is
concede
who
the
we
argument,
are.
bro. I concede that argument.
Okay, well, I mean, this has been a very spirited conversation, either way it goes. I mean, for real, I really appreciate the way this conversation went. It's very, very, very good, guys. So I do appreciate that. And Christian Minaj is down there clowning too. Said, how do you get it? Like, how do you type out no special letters? Maybe I'm missing something. But yeah, like wow. So as a stoic one, build it and they will twerk on it. So anyway, we're nearing the 3 hour mark. I will definitely be back tomorrow, but as usual, I got to get up at certain times of the day, and I got to go at least get like 1 or 2 hours of sleep. So let's go ahead and get some final statement in. I really appreciate it. So whoever wants to go first.
Well, hey Mike, you got a channel, bro?
No, I'll just be around, man. I'll be on a couple of people's different streams and stuff like that.
All right, it's
Just
nice
catch
meeting
Yeah,
you, bro. It's nice
yeah,
meeting
Mike.
you, brother.
Mike has appeared on the breakdown. Sister George is our habitual line stepper sister, so he said he appeared with Concrete Rose. So unless Concrete Rose got something else going on, I'm assuming that's going to be the breakdown on a woman's perspective. So am I correct?
Yeah.
All right, cool, cool, cool. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well,
So thanks for joining me for thanks for joining this panel, Mike. I really appreciate it. But G, if you weren't finished, yeah, we'll let you get in, and then we'll let whoever wants to go in between Donnie and Mike.
oh yeah, I was just doing my clothes. I was just telling the brother, nice to meet him and chop it up with him. I enjoyed it. You got a channel, Donnie?
Yeah, YS4W.
All right, I'm gonna check you out, bro. It was nice talking to you too, man. I enjoyed talking to the brother. I don't got no channel, man. I just like talking to the bros, man. And I got love for you, Kev. I want you to keep being brutally honest. I'm gonna be laughing a little bit on the book about your shit. And it's all love to the brothers, man.
Okay. Yeah, cause
Peace.
yeah. If you laugh, it does something, man. And I don't mean for everything I say to be bluntly serious. Some of that stuff I do mean to be funny. So if I can make somebody laugh and relax and chill and not think about all this stupid shit that's out here right now, I've accomplished something. So go ahead. Next closing statement,
Oh,
Mike.
you want me to go first?
I mean,
I
whoever wants to
I
go
don't mind.
first.
All right,
Yeah,
I'll
I
go.
run up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just y'all remember these hoes ain't loyal. No, I ain't done
That's
content in a
funny.
minute because the niggas over here trying to cash these checks. But yeah, if anybody out here on these YouTube streets knows anything about cars, especially these old schools, I'm finna do an LS swap in a 83 olds hearse. Y'all drop it in the comments to help a nigga out. Uh, but aside from that, yeah, check out the next content I'll probably be dropping is I got a couple of old school cars, so I'm gonna go through and the rehabbing and making these motherfuckers mine. So I'll drop that content on there. I'll do some content here and there, but just the niggas been busy. So you ain't shit for watching. I'll holler at y'all later.
All right, thank you, Donnie, and long
Yeah,
live the
man.
habitual line steppers. All right, Mike.
Yeah, I just wanted to shout you out, Kev, and thank you for having me on the panel. It was good chopping it up with you and G and Donnie. For man, we hit on a lot of points, and I like the fact that the conversation stayed respectful, even though some people had different opinions on certain things. You know what I'm saying? It's important for us to keep it respectful. I can't stand panels where they just be, yelling and using all the ad hominems and stuff like that. I'm not with that. I'm 37 years old. I just turned 37 last, what was it? Was it Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday.
Well, happy
So
belated.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I'll definitely be checking out some of your other streams and might pop in some other time again. But yeah, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. And just for your future reference, I do streams every Saturday, Sunday, and Monday night. Unless, of course, I have to do something to preempt the stream. And, sometimes I do surprise streams too at very rare times, like I did this past Tuesday or Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday night. But appreciate you, gentlemen. Yeah, and definitely we like to keep it respectful over here. Although we're going to adopt a brutally honest environment, which I've always carried about the panels. I really appreciate the fact that panels rarely to never go out of control over here. It's just that we carry it. We want to carry it a certain way so it'll be easy for the audience to listen to and to watch, because once the breakdowns start to happen, then the conversation just becomes a mess and we lose our whole purpose for even getting together, not only with the conversations but just in this space nonetheless. And especially we try to keep it way 100 here with the habitual line stepper. So uh, if if we're wrong and people respectfully disagree, there's no sweat off our backs. We're not perfect. We're not going to let everything degrade to an argument just because uh, somebody proved us wrong. And the thing is that what makes us look better a little bit in those situations is not to be adamant about being wrong. And that's what a lot of this nigga shit that leads to a lot of nigga shit that be on that be on these panels. And one thing that I did set out to do, for real, is to have panels that always stay within control, because that's a really bad look for black men. And when we're on panels and platforms such as this, we should be ready to look our absolute best. And that's what I always try to. That's the message that I always try to send when I come on. When I do these broadcasts. Now, as far as the topic goes, yes, I do believe that we should do a better. We should have done a better job, fortifying our wealth and our resources. To restrict them just to us. Well, not just to us, because at some point, if you want optimal profitability, you're gonna have to work with other folks. But the thing is, I get the points that were made tonight. We have to start doing things that help us and us alone. This inclusion thing right here has only like kept us behind, or kept us at like the very bare minimum, and that's something that we definitely need to work on. And I'm not saying that there haven't been moves to make to put us in that forward direction, but they definitely need to happen. I do agree with Mike in the sense that we should be way ahead, far more ahead than we are right now. But because certain things were put in place, we kind of fell behind. But it's never too late. It's never too late. Um, but one of my greatest points is, if you're not solidly behind the productive black man, if you're not solidly behind that guy, then we have already failed. And I'm not saying that no one else has anything to offer to the race, but whenever there's failure, whenever there's a setback, we as men are automatically accountable for it, made accountable for it. So it's a contradiction to try to sit there and embrace images and embrace lifestyles and embrace pretty much counterproductive ghetto ass ways. The reason why I use the word ghetto, just like I said, I have to talk in a language that everybody can understand. We'd rather adopt those and see those as cool. And it was like Donnie was saying earlier, that when the kids see this, when they see like the those kind of images as the ones that are the most profitable, they're going to gravitate toward that lifestyle, and they'll get it any means, but through any way they can. And sometimes that has a positive effect, and sometimes that has a negative effect. The point is, we are the economy. The money goes out of this community exponentially more than it comes into the community. So it's just a lot of things to think about here, like as far as where we've been. But it all starts with a mentality. That's all I'm saying. It all starts with a mentality. And if we don't choose a productive mentality, yeah, the end to the quote unquote good black man will come for real. So just a cautionary tale, just a little food for thought. But I'm done. I'm done. I am, I'm tired for now. But I promise to come back tomorrow night, spry and full of energy, and ready for another awesome topic with hopefully some awesome panelists. But if I drop a link and nobody comes up, hey, I'll do awesome by myself. Because let me tell y'all something: if you are to believe in anyone, you first have to believe in yourself. And this, you are inherently good. You make the choice to be all that other stupid shit. So that's it for now. That's it for now. Stay up, stay positive. Long live the habitual line steppers. In Kev we trust. Till tomorrow night. Thank you.